Live broadcast of Naruto begins with the movie The Death of Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 476. If the opponent is a tailed beast, at least a super large Rasengan and a Rasenshuriken are needed. No. He has already transformed into a tailed beast, so it must be a tailed beast ball. This is the strongest ninjutsu of the tailed beast. In the consciousness space, Naruto raised his hand and pressed the seal on his abdomen. He remembered Haruka, who tried his best to intercept Mizuki to save him the night before graduation. It was on that day that he was recognized by others for the first time, gave up his identity as a demon fox for the first time, and was recognized by others as Uzumaki Naruto for the first time. With a twist of his 5 fingers, he opened the seal. Naruto turned his back to the Nine Tails and said from the bottom of his heart, "You are no longer a demon fox, but my partner is a Konoha ninja." With both hands spread out violently, the door to the seal was completely opened, and Naruto completely released the power of the Nine Tails. Kuroma, let's go. Tisk. Without Haruka's initial recognition, Naruto wouldn't be so majestic now. Great. It's simply the most perfect embodiment of the will of fire. What does this have to do with the will of fire? If Konoha is replaced by other ninja villages, this scene will still happen. That's hard to say. Other villages may not have ninjas like Haruka. Although everyone has been mocking Konoha's ninjas for pretending to be good people, it is precisely because of this environment that Naruto has the opportunity to cheer up. Naruto suddenly raised his hand and tapped his stomach, curling his lips in dissatisfaction. Sakura noticed the change in his expression and asked curiously, "Naruto, are you talking to the Nine Tails?" Naruto nodded first, then held the back of his head and frowned and said, "I wanted to go to the Nine Tails Kurama to see the situation, but my consciousness was blocked by its chakra and it wouldn't let me in. Well, judging from the Nine Tails personality, it's really not convenient for you to see it now, and after that, it's also a problem to deal with the seal on you." Kakashi interrupted. "Can't you unseal it and let Kurama out?" Naruto asked with a frown. Jiraiya scratched his head after hearing this and answered with a distressed look, "The key is here with me, but it feels too risky to open the seal directly. After all, we don't know what the Nine Tails really thinks now. We must discuss it strictly before we can come to a conclusion. Let's wait for now." Almost at the same time, 5 completely tailed beasts condensed tailed beast J towards Kakashi and Kai at the same time. Just when they were ready to risk their lives and use Kamui and the 8th gate to deal with the attacking tailed beast Jade, a yellow flash passed in front of their eyes, and the 5 tailed beast Jades fired at close range were easily bounced away. Looking at the figure wrapped in light in front of him, Kakashi thought he saw the 4th Hokage in a trance. He looked closely and found that it was Naruto wearing the tailed beast god robe and entering the Nine Tails mode. The 5 tailed beast balls that were blown away blew up several mountains around them. Kakashi and Kai were impressed by the power of the tailed beasts, but Fei, the controller, did not have the leisure to do so. When the tailed beast balls could not achieve any results, he directly controlled the tailed beasts to pounce on them. Wow! Yellow Flash. This title is more suitable than the 4th Hokage. It's really like a yellow flash flashing before my eyes. He has completely surpassed his father, the 4th Hokage. Even the tailed beast ball was easily knocked away. This increase in strength is not a little bit too exaggerated. Jiraiya shook his legs a little excitedly. It makes people itch. Isn't this tempting me to unlock the seal? Indeed. Kakashi also nodded in agreement. Although he always believed that Naruto would surpass the 4th Hokage one day, he didn't expect this scene to happen a few years later. It felt like he, the teacher, was suddenly surpassed by his student. In the belly of the god of death, Minato didn't care that his name was used on Naruto, and he was even more happy to see himself being surpassed. After all, this was what he had been looking forward to. "Go, Kurama!" Looking at the 5 tailed beasts pressing down like a mountain, Naruto shouted, and the complete Nine Tails suddenly appeared in the form of golden chakra, and instantly swept the 5 tailed beasts away. Floating above the head of the Nine Tails, Naruto transformed a shadow clone and asked it to confirm the location of the black stick on the tailed beast. At this time, the Nine Tails reminded, "Let me make it clear first, you don't have much time. The connection of the first tailed beast transformation is not perfect. You should only consider this state to last for 5 minutes. Enough. Naruto's face was full of anger. He pounced confidently. There are too many of them. I can only be more rude than Son last time. You have to hold back. Hey. Why is Naruto's tailed beast transformation different from others? Unlike the materialization of other tailed beasts, it feels like this nine-tailed is made entirely of chakra. It seems that compared with other tailed beasts, the nine-tailed has some special features that we don't know about. As he spoke, Naruto pounced on the flying seven-tailed and pressed it to the three-tailed on the ground. As the one controlling the tailed beast, Afei would naturally not watch him act indifferently. Afei first let the three-tail roll to avoid Naruto, and then when he raised his arm to attack the seven-tail, he let the six-tail bite Naruto's arm, limiting his movement space, and then let the three-tail suddenly roll back and hide him with great force. Fortunately, Killer Bee came to his aid in time, and used his 8 tails to stop the three-tail. The 5-tail wanted to take the opportunity to repeat the trick and hit Killer Bee again, but was punched into the surrounding forest by the alert Killer Bee. The 2-tail also roared and pounced on Naruto. Naruto noticed it approaching, and used the huge force of the 9-tail to swing the 6-tail up and hit the 2-tail, and pulled his arm out of the 6-tail's mouth with this action. Tisk tisk, this is a monster war. As expected of the 2 strongest tailed beasts, their melee abilities are far superior to other tailed beasts. Afei's control level is not good. He has not fully utilized the unique ability of the 5-tailed beasts, which is to control them to rush forward all at once. Although Afei can control the 5-tailed beasts, judging from the previous situation where the 5 tails lost control, his control should have been close to the limit, so it is understandable that his operation is not so delicate. Chapter 477. After some actions, Naruto's shadow clone confirmed the location of all the black sticks with a perception of the Sage mode. At this time, Afei also gave up the idea of capturing them alive, and prepared to release the power of the tailed beasts with all his strength to completely kill Naruto and his friends. So under his control, the 5-tailed beasts fell in front of Naruto, opened their mouths at the same time and faced a direction, and then saw a tailed beast ball quickly formed under their joint operation. Looking at the tailed beast ball in front of him, which was at least dozens of times the size of the tailed beast, Naruto raised his eyebrows and showed a serious look. He raised his hands and opened his palms, and a tailed beast ball of almost the same size was formed instantly, facing the super large tailed beast ball that was attacking from the front. Oh my god. Such a big tailed beast ball. That's not the point. The attack that the 5-tailed beasts worked so hard to condense, the 9-tailed beasts casually opened it to the same size. I know that the 9-tailed beasts are the strongest among the tailed beasts, but it feels like the gap in strength has been broken. It's actually quite normal. After all, the 9-tailed beasts are known for their chakra volume, and the attack here happens to be the purest chakra competition. 1 against 5 is naturally a piece of cake. Because Naruto deliberately aimed at the lower position of the opposite tailed beast ball, the 2-tailed beast balls were bounced into the air after the collision, and then exploded to form a supergiant fireball. The aftermath of the explosion alone forced everyone on the ground to take precautions to deal with the strong impact. Using the smoke and dust raised by the explosion, Naruto transformed the 5 tails behind him into 5 chakra arms and shot them out, pinching the neck of the opposite tailed beast. With this action, the shadow clone hiding in the 5 tails also grasped the black stick in front of him. Go, Kurama. Pull them all off in one go. Naruto shouted excitedly, and then shouted in his heart, I want to free them and save all the tailed beasts. Absolutely. The power of this explosion should be about the same as the Shinra Tensei that Pain used to destroy Konoha. It's an air explosion. It's not easy to compare without a reference. It should be about the same. You know, the tailed beasts are originally synonymous with power, not to mention that this is an unprecedented battle between tailed beasts. Nagato Samsara is indeed very powerful, but in terms of the amount of chakra, it is definitely not as good as the tailed beasts. Just when Naruto was about to make a move, he suddenly felt his body sinking. After quickly coming to his senses, Naruto found himself in an empty space, and in front of him were the 5-tailed beasts that were just fighting. I've been waiting for you for a long time. The 4th Mizuka Jagara, who was standing on the head of the 3-tail, said immediately. The familiar scene reminded Naruto of the scene when he met the 4-tail before. The 2 Yukido standing on the head of the 2-tail continued, this time, you really entered this level. The 4-tail was right. It's different from the place where the four-tail entered at that time. The voice of the nine-tail came from behind Naruto. He turned his head and heard the nine-tail explain, "Because you and I are perfectly connected, you entered the depths of the tailed beasts. You see, the Jinchuriki is also here, not to mention that the four-tail was locked by the chakra chain at that time." What is this place? How come even the Jinchuriki has appeared? Deep down in your heart, you tailed beasts have a lot of tricks. Even the consciousness space is divided into several levels. Can you only enter the first level of the sealed space before you have a heart-to-heart talk? From just now I noticed that the flow of time in the tailed beast's consciousness space is obviously different from the outside world. It is completely convenient for Naruto to express his feelings to the tailed beasts. Are the tailed beasts queuing up and waiting for Naruto to come and attack? Naruto didn't quite understand, but this scene of normal communication is indeed more in line with his mind. The nine tails also emphasize that if you cannot enter here, you came just in time. On behalf of the Jinchuriki and the tailed beasts, I thank you. I have wanted to see you for a long time, Uzumaki Naruto. Actually, the fourth Mizukage spoke as a representative. But after seeing his appearance clearly, Naruto suddenly burst into tears. Wow! You are shorter and younger than me, and you look so thin. It's really hard for you to become a Jinchuriki. And when I think about you already passed away, but you haven't even tasted delicious ramen. You don't know the taste of kissing a girl. Naruto, this guy actually feels sorry for the fourth Mizukage who has never been intimate with a girl. What? Is the fourth Mizukage so great? You know, Naruto defeated the third Raikage and the second Tsuchikage with a shadow clone. What is a mere Mizukage? In my impression, the fourth Mizukage seems to be an adult. Well, he just looks like an underage person. Not only is he an adult, but he's also married and has children. By the way, isn't it said that the fourth Mizukage is the most brutal of all Mizukages? Not only did he single-handedly preside over the oppression of the domestic blood-stained ninjas, he also made the Blood Mist village famous. You can't see that here at all. In fact, what's on the screen is the nature of the fourth Mizukage. The reason why he made so many wrong decisions in the past is entirely because of the conspiracy of some behind-the-scenes mastermind. Speak clearly, what conspiracy? And who is the mastermind behind it? If it's a conspiracy, why would it be made public? Besides, this is Kirigakure's scandal, so don't expect them to tell it themselves. The fourth Mizukage was immediately furious when he heard this. He was an adult and even had a child, but because of his height and appearance, Naruto mistook him for a child who had never been in contact with a girl. How could he feel? However, Naruto did not respond to his shouting, because with a reminder of the nine tails, Naruto recalled his first kiss with Sasuke on the day of graduation, which made him feel so sick that he retched repeatedly. It took Naruto a while to stop feeling sick, and he looked at the fourth Mizukage with a depressed face. Speaking of the four tails, was the grandson here just now? And the old man with a beard? That's right. Seven Tails Jinchuriki Fu interrupted and answered, "Wow. Shocking news. What's the matter with Naruto and Sasuke's kiss?" Well, I suddenly understand why Naruto is so obsessed with Sasuke. Hey, this pairing feels much more exciting than other combinations, that twisted and entangled yet closely connected feeling. Rolling with excitement, I understand, he is indeed the one who can say to Sasuke that he wants to die with him. Naruto x Sasuke. This combination is simply the best. What the hell is the best? What are you talking about? Just look at Naruto's reaction, and you will know that there must be some kind of accident. At this time, Naruto and Sasuke, the parties involved, were so disgusted that they could not speak. Neither of them expected that this memory buried deep in their minds would be exposed in this way. Not only did they suffer another psychological blow, but they also felt endless pressure. After all, this matter is now known to everyone. Sasuke, who had become somewhat taciturn due to the loss of his target during this period, vomited for a while and looked at Naruto angrily. It was all because of this bastard. Why did he mention being intimate with a girl, and the nine tails in his body was also the same? It was really out of the question. Even Sakura was hit by this resurfacing memory and lowered her head. After all, even if she really got Sasuke's favor in the future, Sasuke's first kiss would never belong to her. Naruto, who was shrouded by two murderous intentions, suddenly became smart and quickly stopped vomiting and looked at Sasuke and Sakura, stammering, You, what do you want to do? To be continued, Chapter 478. Time goes back to a moment ago. The four-tailed beast that has not been sealed by the outer path demon statue said to the other five-tailed beasts, "You must talk to him well," and I gave him some of my chakra. Do you still remember what the old man sixth path said at the end? Maybe, that kid is. I feel this way, that guy should come here to save you, and then I'll leave that kid in your hands. The demon statue is already pulling me, so I'll go first. Four-tailed beast. If I could start over again. Old Purple, who was sitting cross-legged on the four-tailed beast's head, suddenly spoke. Wheel. Have you ever had other choices? Humph, you are an old man who is more stubborn than Inoki. You have become more tactful after your death. The Four-Tails was silent for a while and then snorted coldly, but his attitude was unprecedentedly harmonious. Forget it, at least you remembered my name once when you became my Jinchuriki. I have been your Jinchuriki for 40 years. To this day, I can't make myself tactful enough to say your name, but this doesn't mean that I have forgotten. Then, say my name in full. Old Z smiled and said, I'll just call you grandson. The Four-Tails gave Naruto chakra before. Why does the six-path sage also come into contact with Naruto? What is Naruto? What did the six-path sage say to the tailed beasts? Why does it feel like another prophecy? Is it the six-path sage's reincarnation this time? I'm not surprised that the six-path sage has such great power, but I didn't expect it to be related to Naruto. It seems that the identity of the child of prophecy is more important than I thought. The Four-Tails really values its own name. At the last moment, it has to listen to what the Four-Tails Jinchuriki says. Then Old Z actually showed such an embarrassed smile. It's really a ghost. Back to the present, the six-tailed Jinchuriki Yu-Gi-Oh then spoke, saying that they were entrusted by the Four-Tailed to gather here, ready to entrust some things to Naruto. After explaining, the Two-Tailed looked at Naruto and said, Naruto, come forward and stretch out your hand. I want to fulfill the promise with the Four-Tailed. No, Son Goku. Naruto looked up at them and listened to the tailed beasts and Jinchuriki saying their names, the two-tailed Matatabi, the two-tailed Yukido, the three-tailed Isabu, the fourth-generation Mizuka Jiagara, the five-tailed Mu Wang, Han, the six-tailed Rhino, Yu-Gi-Oh!, the seven-tailed Shigeaki, and Fu. The five-tailed beasts put their hands together and pressed on Naruto's raised fist. Looking at this scene, the nine-tailed recalled a long time ago, that unforgettable memory. The thing you're going to tell me is the names of the tailed beasts, and as for what you're going to give to Naruto, it should be their chakra. In other words, except for the one tail and the eight tail, Naruto now has the chakra of all the tailed beasts? I don't know what this is for. From this consciousness space and the intersection of the six-path sage and the tailed beasts, there should be some deeper connection between the tailed beasts. Maybe after Naruto gathers the chakra of all the tailed beasts, he will open a new form. The nine young-looking tailed beasts formed a circle, listening to an old man in a white robe and holding a scepter in the middle. I am going to die soon. Shukoku, Matatabi, Isabu, Son Goku, King Mu, Rhino Dog, Chongming, Nilge, Kurama, even if you are separated by the world, you will always be connected together. Sooner or later, you will be united again. With your own names, in a completely different way from before, and different from in my body, you will get the right guidance. What is the real power? Wait until then. Hearing these words, Kyuubi shed tears, and the memories ended. The figure of the old man seemed to overlap with Naruto in front of him. You made us wait so long, old man. You think so too, don't you? Exclamation mark. Naruto is the old man. Wow. I can still see the young tailed beasts. That. The man surrounded by the tailed beasts, couldn't he be the six-path sage? There's only a back. The six-path sage's words contain a lot of information. In his body, that means the six-path sage was once a Jinchuriki and the common Jinchuriki of all the tailed beasts. So is Naruto replicating the six-path sage now? Although only a part of it, Naruto is indeed going to get the chakra of all the tailed beasts. It feels like the six-path sage's words are describing the current scene. This is his prophecy about Naruto. I never thought that I could see the nine-tailed fox crying, not feeling embarrassed. The nine-tailed fox was completely immersed in the picture of the sky, and his eyes did not move away for a moment. It's been too long, old man, so long that I almost forgot. Jiraiya took a deep breath. He had never expected that the prophecy about Naruto would involve the legendary six-path sage. He suddenly felt that the burden on his shoulders was heavier. If I don't train him, I feel like I've become a sinner in the ninja world. The roar of the nine-tailed fox resounded in the hearts of the five-tailed beasts. In their acknowledged responses, Naruto roared and pulled a black stick out of the tailed beasts, but this action also exhausted his transformation time. Naruto lifted the tailed beast transformation and fell to the ground in normal state. I can actually control the nine-tailed fox completely, but it seems that it can't last too long, and it's no different from before. Afei said, controlling the outer path demon statue to drag off five-tailed beasts that had broken free into its mouth. Eight Tails was worried that Naruto would feel disappointed when he saw this scene, but unexpectedly he showed a high-spirited expression, holding his belly and confidently said, "Who said it's the same? Someone told me a lot of hard-to-remember names at once. This outer path demon statue is definitely not just a container or a key. The tailed beasts have no power to resist in its hands. Tailed beasts, outer path demon statue, Samsara I, six-path sage." Following this line of thought, we can see that the source of everything is on the six-path sage. Only the one tails and the eight tails are missing. Let me see what Naruto will do next. Unexpectedly, after this barrage appeared, the sky darkened, and then the words familiar to everyone appeared. Start extracting the next issue's keywords. Keywords extracted based on this issue's speech, randomly selected. Confirm. Next issue's keywords, inheritance partner Will of Fire. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 479. Although he was traveling with a crew, the mission was to assist Fenho Zaiakusa in regaining the title of Daimyo of the Snow Country. In order not to interfere with the itinerary, the director simply recorded some of the scenery along the way. The main content of the filming would not begin until the mission was completed. Therefore, Naruto and others entered the territory of the Snow Country 7 days after departure. Although some neutral factions in the Snow Country have publicly stated that they will support Fenho Zaiakusa's actions because of the Sky Curtain, Fenho Nuteo has been the daimyo of the Snow Country for 10 years after all. Before he intends to give up this identity, he still has some appeal, so Fenho Zaiakusa does not have many obvious advantages in this regard. Fortunately, it is also because of the Sky Curtain that there are basically no people in the ninja world who don't know Naruto. After knowing that the opponent is his Team 7, many good players in the black market have rejected Fenho Nuteo's commission. After all, no one wants to be a stepping stone on Naruto's growth path. Fenho Nuteo also tried to issue a commission to Akatsuki, but Nagato, who had changed his policy, was naturally not interested in such a task. Afei was also worried that this was a trap to entrap him, so he ignored it. Kakuzu, the only one who was interested in the commission, gave up the action because he was not sure whether the Nine Tails would help Naruto. This is the idea of everyone who watched The Last Sky Curtain. Of course, it does not mean that Fenho Nuteo cannot recruit any helpers. Not to mention the ninja world, there are a lot of desperate criminals. Not to mention a mere Nine Tails Jinchuriki, even the six-path sage, there are not a few people who dare to take action. Under such harsh conditions, most of the ninjas recruited by Fenho Nuteo are only chunin, and the few jonin are all at the bottom level. However, this is also a big challenge for Team 7, which Jiraiya does not intend to take action. Don't look at the fact that the opponents that Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura fought on the sky are not simple. They are either famous jonins in the ninja world or shadows of various villages. Due to the short growth time, they have to use all their skills even against a chunin now, not to mention the situation that the enemy is in the dark and we are in the light. Therefore, the moment they set foot on the Snow Country, the speed of travel immediately dropped to the minimum. Under the leadership of Kakashi, the three of them dealt with various enemies every day, and almost every day they consumed their physical strength and chakra to the limit. This was the most difficult mission they had done since graduation. Although they were exhausted physically and mentally, the strength of the three was visibly increasing rapidly, and even Kakashi, the jonin who led the team, could see a significant improvement. In this situation, Fenho Nuteo, who felt powerless to save the situation, fled the Snow Country with his men and family before Naruto and his friends arrived. He didn't want to try what Naruto's 7-color Rasengan tasted like. In this way, Fangho Zyakso entered the Snow Country in a logical way and officially became active in the ninja world as the Queen of the Snow Country. Of course, her identity as an actress is still retained. After a satisfying mission, Naruto returned to Konoha with great satisfaction after getting the autographed photo of Fangho Zyakso. Unfortunately, he did not get the Queen's kiss this time. The mature elder sister did not want to join Naruto's share field. As usual, Jiraiya and Kakashi went to the Hokage building to deliver the mission. The three Genin parted ways at an intersection and went home to rest. Walking alone on the way home, after leaving the crowded main road, Sasuke turned into a sparsely populated alley and stopped with his hands in his pockets. "Come out." A deep voice came from Sasuke's mouth. He turned sideways and looked at the figure behind him wearing an Anbu costume and an animal mask. He pursed his lips and said, "During this mission, the aura I sensed was you, right? You helped me block several fatal attacks. Am I right?" Uchiha Itachi. Hearing this name, the man raised his hand and took off the mask on his face, revealing a face that Sasuke had been dreaming about. "Sasuke, long time no see." Itachi looked at Sasuke calmly, and Sasuke also looked at him expressionlessly. The two brothers just stared at each other silently in this deserted alley. After a while, Itachi took the initiative to break the atmosphere. "Let's go home first, and then we can talk slowly." Okay. No one knows what the two brothers talked about afterwards, and Itachi disappeared from Sasuke's side again, but Naruto seemed to have a feeling that Sasuke seemed to be less tense recently, and the two were returning to their past bickering and quarreling ways. After that, Team 7 carried out several more missions, with varying degrees of difficulty, but most of them were passed without any danger. During this period, the ninja world on the surface, everything was calm. Whether it was the ambitious people who had no news since being exposed, or the mercenary organization Akatsuki, which had now become the first in the ninja world, they all stopped and fell silent, as if everything had returned to the time before the sky curtain appeared. However, the situation in the dark was extremely turbulent, and the exchanges between countries were unprecedentedly frequent. The Grail Research Institute was built on the Grail ore vein. Villages in various countries arranged personnel to settle in for research according to their own needs. The Box of Bliss was also moved here as planned as one of the research projects. The Laolan Ruins also established research institutions and protective measures under the leadership of Sand Village. After all, it involved the major event of time travel, and the countries invested more and more. Against this background, Naruto packed his luggage, said goodbye to his companions in the village, and embarked on a journey of practice with Jiraiya. It is worth mentioning that in addition to the two of them, there were two other people on this journey of practice, Itachi and Sasuke. And the actions of this team also fell into the eyes of those who were interested. Afei established a private base on a mountain wall somewhere in the land of grass. Black Zetsu crawled out of the completely closed mountain wall and said to Fei, who was sitting cross-legged in the base holding a crystal ball, "Uzumaki, Naruto and Uchiha Sasuke have left Konoha, and only Jiraiya and Uchiha Itachi are with them." Fei did not answer, but just rubbed the crystal ball in his hand, and didn't know what he was studying. Seeing this, Black Zetsu asked, "What should we do next? I think this is a good opportunity to take action against the Nine Tails. With Jiraiya following, the Nine Tails will be summoned back to Meiboku Mountain by reverse summoning at any time. It is not feasible to catch him." Fei responded lightly. Black Zetsu was a little anxious, but he still tried to calm himself down. "So I ask you what to do next? Nagato and Konan, those two little brats, have already become disloyal, and the other members of Akatsuki have also begun to become seemingly united but actually alienated. If this continues, there is no need for the outside world to do anything, and our Akatsuki will disband and go their separate ways." Chapter 480. I have been thinking about this, and finally came to the conclusion that Akatsuki can no longer be saved. Fei stopped what he was doing and looked at Black Zetsu, so I decided to concentrate all my strength to carry out the last action before the organization completely splits. Have you found out the locations of all the tailed beasts that I asked you to investigate before? Except for the Nine Tails, the Eight Tails seems to be placed in a place called Kame Island. I haven't found the exact location yet. The Seven Tails and the Six Tails have been sealed in the Outer Path Demon statue. The Five Tails and the Four Tails have been arranged by the Tsuchikage in the newly established Rare Research Institute. They can serve as the security of the Institute and also rely on the Institute's protection. The Three Tails is in your possession. There is no clue about the Two Tails for the time being. I don't know where Nagato hides it. The One Tails is left in the Sand Village. Black Zetsu told Faye all the known information. Faye pondered for a moment and asked, how is the defense of that institute? They are all good players. The 5 major countries attach great importance to it. Well, what about the Dragon Vein? The guards are more strict than the institute. Because of the cooperation of the 5 major countries, their barrier and perception skills have improved a lot. I can't get close to the center, but relying on the white Zetsu deployed around his eyes, I can see that at least 20% of the combat power of each village is deployed there, and the 4th generation Kazakage is in charge personally. Is that so? Faye touched his chin. The 8 and 9 tails must be left to the end, so the targets are the 1, 4 and 5 tails. What are you going to do? We just attacked the 5 major countries before, and they will definitely take strict precautions. Black Zetsu asked the same question for the 3rd time. To be honest, Black Zetsu didn't really believe that Faye's brain could come up with any good plan, but this kind of frontal combat deployment was also not his forte, so he could only pin his hopes on Faye. You think so, which means the 5 major ninja villages will think so too. Then we can do the opposite and catch them off guard. Faye looked up at Black Zetsu. Of course, the corresponding arrangements are indispensable. I have already thought about it. We will attack Sand Village, Dragon Vein and Greyer Mine at the same time. Among them, Scorpion and I will deal with Sand Village. With Scorpion's help and the 3-tailed beast in my hand, it should be no problem to take down one tail. As for the Dragon Vein, let White Zetsu disguise himself as someone else in the organization to deal with it. It would be best if we can attract their attention. If not, try to delay them as much as possible. If necessary, find a way to detonate the Dragon Vein there. And the remaining Deidara, Kisame, Kakuzu and Hidden, just attack Greyer Mine with all their strength. With their abilities, it will be no problem to take down the 4-tailed and 5-tailed beasts before the other countries react. As long as the operation is successful, then I will have 7-tailed beasts under my control. In this way, even if I declare war directly, I can take the initiative. Peace will definitely be born in my hands. How can I say this plan? It is somewhat feasible. It is feasible, but there are also big loopholes in it. Black Zetsu hesitated. Except for Kisame, I am afraid that others have no intention to work for Akatsuki, not to mention that we have to be careful of Nagato and Konan attacking from behind. Relying on the backhand left by Madara in the Samsara Eye, if Nagato hinders us, then I will take back his Samsara Eye first. Faye looked coldly in the direction of the Hidden Rain Village. 2-tail, 6-tail and 7-tail, outer path demon statue, plus 3-tail, so our advantage is even greater. As for the others, just tell them directly that they can leave Akatsuki after completing this operation, and promise to give them everything they want, money, sacrifices, occasions to display art. You can say these reasons, anyway, as long as they are willing to take action. Okay, do as you say, I will notify them now. Black Zetsu is also helpless. He also knows that if he continues to drag on like this, then his plan to resurrect Kaguya Otsutsuki will never be realized. At least there is a little hope if he tries hard. What if a Faye's plan is realized? So a Faye's plan was finalized. In just 10 days, the content of the operation was conveyed to every operator, and they would not far from their respective combat targets according to his instructions. At this time, Black Zetsu was hiding in a sandy area hundreds of meters away from the Dragon Vein Research Center. He looked at the gloomy weather in the sky and suddenly felt a little depressed. Don't think too much, it's almost time to act. Under his instructions, 8 White Zetsu emerged from the ground, and then after squirming and transforming, they turned into the other 8 members of Akatsuki except him, Nagato Konan, Kakuzu Hidden, Scorpion Deidara, and Faye Kisame. Without hesitation, Black Zetsu unfolded the ninjutsu scroll he had prepared in advance, and in an instant, an overwhelming sea of fire rushed to the Lowland ruins under the fierce hurricane. Fire style, head hard work. Wind style, big breakthrough. White Zetsu, disguised as Kakuzu, made a fake seal, trying to make the people left behind in the ruins notice their movements. And things really developed as Black Zetsu thought. After a multi-layer water array wall blocked the incoming fire style, the ninja coalition in the Lowland ruins did not rush out to attack them directly. It seems that letting White Zetsu disguise himself as Nagato was right. That's right, Just hold on like this, and then send out the support signal to attract more combat power. Black Zetsu excitedly looked at the masters revealed in the ruins from a distance. The fourth generation of Kazekage, Chiyo, Kakashi, Might Guy, Asuma, Daru, Quing, Huangtu. Such a small ruins was guarded by so many masters. Black Zetsu knew the power of time, but he also disdained their behavior of occupying land like a vicious dog. After all, they are just a group of mortals, blinded by the powerful power of time. It seems that this world cannot do without the guidance of the mother. All you can do is to give all your chakra to Kaguya. As he said, Black Zetsu took out more ninjutsu scrolls and prepared to continue bombarding the ruins. At the same time, outside the Greyer Institute, Hiden and Deidara were eager to try. One was eager to offer an excellent sacrifice to the evil god. Hiden heard that the kid named Narashikamaru was in this institute. The other was eager to show his art on the Jinchuriki. Even Deidara had some other ideas, that is, to detonate the entire mine to see how artistic the power that can destroy half of the continent is. Chapter 481. It's almost time for the appointment. Kisame showed his shark-like teeth and grinned. After hearing this, Hiden twisted his neck and moved his hands and feet. I can't wait. It's agreed that except for the four-tailed and five-tailed, everyone else will be under my disposal, especially the kid named Narashikamaru. That depends on how many people can survive the baptism of my art. Deidara smiled and responded, then stepped on the giant bird without hesitation and flew into the sky. Hey! Deidara, you guy, don't blow this place up. Hiden shouted loudly at the sky, and then he noticed the absent-minded Kokuzu, and immediately asked curiously, Hey, Kokuzu. What are you doing? Get ready for battle. Without answering, Kokuzu looked at the surrounding environment. Although he was a little hesitant, he still controlled the earth resentment to split the four hearts in his body out of the body to form four monsters. Fidun didn't know what Kokuzu was thinking, but seeing that he was ready to attack, he stopped thinking about it and turned his attention to the research institute under the hill, with an excited and bloodthirsty smile on his face. At the same time, Faye brought Scorpion to the outside of the sand village. It's up to you next. Let your insider start to act. It would be best if you can use the riot to lure out the one tail. If not, try to make the sand ninja unable to support it. After all, it's not an easy task to deal with the one tail in the desert. Faye said to Scorpion beside him. Humph. If it weren't for the corpse of the Jinchuriki, do you think I would help you with this? You actually want to sacrifice all my chess pieces at once. Scorpion's tone revealed a strong dissatisfaction, but his hand cooperated very well and fired a flare into the sky. Almost at the moment the flare was fired, a violent explosion occurred in the sand village. Even though the surrounding mountain walls blocked his view, Faye could still see the dazzling flames almost dyed the sky red. Don't worry that I will regret it. All I need is the tailed beasts in the bodies of the Jinchuriki. Their bodies have no value to me. Faye replied, and then activated the Kamui and disappeared on the spot. I will go in first, and you will intercept the others except the one tail. Staring at the place where Faye disappeared, Scorpion hidden in the scarlet flow amber snorted coldly and raised his foot to move towards the portal of Sand Village. Faye successfully entered Sand Village through Kamui, and appeared directly in front of Gar with his perception of the tailed beasts. Then he saw Gar, who was fully armed and ready for battle with his arms around him. You are worthy of being the next Kazekage. The village has just been attacked and you are ready. From this aspect, you are much better than the Chizumaki Naruto. Faye said while observing the surrounding environment, and found that this is a training ground of Sand Village. There is no third person around except the two of them. Gara was not moved at all by Faye's praise. Without saying a word, he controlled the sand to rush towards Faye, relying on the hollowing to ignore Gara's attack. Faye thought, you just attack without saying anything. This is exactly what I want. Faye raised his hand and prepared to use the summoning technique to summon the three-tailed beast to assist in the battle. However, just as he made the move, Faye suddenly noticed something wrong and quickly turned his head to look behind him. You are the fourth Kazekage. Faye opened his eyes wide and said the identity of the person who came, and then shouted in disbelief, impossible. Aren't you in the Laolan ruins? Ju saw you enter there with his own eyes. With his perception ability, no one's disguise can hide from him. This is probably what it means to be in the dark under the lamp. It is obviously the ninjutsu that you are best at, but you just don't think of this. Luo Shan also folded his hands, and even if he couldn't touch Faye, He still controlled the sand to cover the entire venue. At the same time, now, you have to bear the hatred for this mistake. Afei realized something belatedly, and immediately gritted his teeth. Space-time ninjutsu. Flying Thunder God. Konoha. Suffering from inertial thinking, Afei tried to suppress the anger in his heart, and tried to stay calm and said to Luosha, "It seems that it is impossible to get the one tail today, but you are not qualified to make me bear the hatred. As the wind shadow, don't you care about the turmoil in the village now?" Hearing this, Luosha showed a sneer and said in a mocking tone, "The turmoil? How come I don't know?" Afei then noticed that the explosions in the sand village had stopped, and immediately looked at Luosha with a grim face. "Could it be that guy Scorpion?" "Yes, it's what you think." Luosha sneered. "Before your plan started, Chiao had secretly persuaded Scorpion to leave Zio. We can make the current arrangements thanks to this. Not only here, the Laolan Ruins and the Greyer Research Institute have also arranged personnel with the help of Flying Thunder God, waiting for your people to fall into the trap. I think now, except for the Laolan Ruins, which are still in disguise, the Research Institute should have already started." Rosa bluntly stated the arrangements of the 5 great nations, and the situation was indeed as he said. At the Greyer Institute, Deidara, who was supposed to be the vanguard and launch the attack from the air, was now staring at Inoki floating in the air in front of him, and the ninjas from each village who also had air combat capabilities. On the ground, led by the 4 tails and the 5 tails, Kakashi, Chiao Granny, Daru, Quing, Huangtu and other masters from each village surrounded Kokuzu, Kisame and Hidden. As arrogant as Hidden was, he also looked at the enemies around him with a serious face. Back to the sand village, Afei's face was as gloomy as water, but because of the mask, it was not noticed by others. However, from his low voice, one could still hear how bad his mood was at the moment. "Why do you dare to make such a decision? Even if you knew my plan in advance, would you just watch the dragon veins go unattended? I'm not afraid to tell you that I've told Izetsu there in advance that the dragon vein there can be detonated when necessary. With infinite chakra, I think you should understand what the result will be after the energy described is detonated." "Thank you for your concern." Luosha responded with a cold face. "Maybe it's not the time yet, or for some other reason. Our researchers have concluded after analyzing the situation there that the dragon vein energy is now in an inert stage. Let alone unlocking the seal of the 4th Hokage for time travel. Even if the tailed beast ball is launched directly there is no way to affect the energy there. So we simply use it as bait to attract your attention, which led to the current scene. Okay, I won't talk nonsense with you, just surrender obediently, you have no chance to escape." Chapter 482. I admit defeat this time, but I also said that you are not qualified to catch me. Afei continued to maintain the virtual state and approached Luosha. "As long as I don't materialize, no matter how dense your sand is, it can't do anything to me. Did someone say it on the sky before? As long as I hold this mentality, I will be naturally invincible." "Really?" Luosha retreated to keep a distance from Afei, and sneered, "But why did I hear that you can only maintain this state for 5 minutes? Afei suddenly stopped, staring at Luosha with horror, and asked in a hoarse voice, "Who told you this?" "It seems to be true. It is worthy of the information specially delivered by Jiraiya." Luosha restrained his expression and looked at Afei seriously. "Jiraiya." Afei murmured the name, and then reacted and roared, "Nagato. Konan. The details of the battle are not elaborated. After paying a certain price, Afei successfully escaped from the pursuit and interception of Sand Village. Black Zetsu, who was active in the Laolan Ruins, also left the place in disgrace after receiving the information passed by Afei. As for the Greyer Research Institute, Deidara was captured alive by Inoki, who was determined to capture him back. Fiden, whose abilities had been thoroughly exposed, was also defeated by the Shinobi League and was captured on the spot. They planned to keep him in the institute as research material. Kisame, who is known for his chakra amount and is called the tailless tailed beast, made the Shinobi League spend some effort. However, under the siege of the net, Kisame was ultimately unable to do it. Akai, who seized the opportunity, kicked him unconscious. After that, Quing and Chijiro would escort him back to Kurigakure to wait for subsequent disposal. On the contrary, Kakuzu escaped with a heart that he had left outside. It should be said that he was a ninja who survived after assassinating the first Hokage. His ability to escape was first-rate. Although the main personnel were safe, The failure of this operation basically announced the dissolution of Akatsuki, and the plan of infinite Tsukuyomi would inevitably be greatly delayed. This made Afei, who had never given up dreaming, feel like his heart was on fire and he was furious. Damn it. Damn it. It's all because of this damn sky curtain. If it weren't for this, how could I be so passive? Afei pounded the mountain wall fiercely, gritting his teeth and looking at the sky curtain. As if responding to his mood, the sky curtain suddenly lit up and started a new story. After seeing the person who appeared on the sky curtain, Afei's face suddenly changed and he cursed, "Damn it! Do you still want to continue to mock me?" In the forest, a boy in blue clothes and goggles on his face jumped and ran among the trees in panic. Oops. If you keep going like this, you're dead. Is it too late? Because he was restless, the boy didn't notice the rope wrapped around the branches, and he tripped and fell out of the forest and rolled on the ground. At this time, a figure stood in front of the boy. The boy looked at the other person with a panicked face and asked uncertainly, "Am I on time?" "No, you're late, Obito." The person in front of him showed a familiar face. It was Kakashi in his youth. Oh. Are we going to start from the past today? Are we going to reveal Kakashi's youth? Tisk, it was so tense at the beginning. I thought he was being chased, but it turned out he was just late. When Kakashi died in battle before, you were probably thinking of this boy. But his personality is a little different from what I imagined. He's reckless, a bit like Naruto. Unlike Afei, who was furious when he saw himself on the stage, Kakashi, who had just completed the interception mission and was about to return to Konoha with the team, was stunned when he saw Obito on the sky curtain, and then showed infinite nostalgia. "Ah. It's Obito." Kakashi crossed his arms over his chest and said to the boy lying on the ground, called Obito, with a cocky face, "What time do you think we should gather? Since you are a ninja who can stand on your own, you must abide by the rules. This is natural, right?" Obito got up from the ground immediately after hearing this and said that he was late because he was helping an old lady who was asking for directions. Then he rubbed his eyes and said that sand had entered his eyes, trying to change the subject. However, Kakashi had no intention of indulging him at all and bluntly said that he was lying. In order to prevent them from continuing to quarrel, Minato Namikaze, who was sitting on a rock, praised Obito's behavior in a coaxing tone, and then Kakashi became even more dissatisfied. Really, the teacher is too naive? Besides, there can't always be people who need help in front of Obito. People who break the rules will be treated as trash, right? Ha ha ha. Kakashi's arrogant look is really funny every time I see him. You're so rude. He keeps talking about rules, even his own teacher. Was he pretending to be so well behaved during the Lowland mission? I feel like Kakashi is taking it too seriously. It's just a small matter of being late. Is it necessary to make such a fuss about it? Being late is not the point. Kakashi emphasizes the rules. That is, the traditional ninja that the public knew before the appearance of the sky curtain only abides by the rules and does not talk about feelings. It seems that Kakashi has also experienced a lot. No wonder his personality is completely different after growing up. In Konoha, Naruto and Sasuke, who had already set out on their training journey, returned to Konoha after Jiraiya received an order. At this time, they were secretly protected by Itachi and stayed in a dumpling house on the street looking at the sky. Naruto, who was originally staring at Minato Namikaze, subconsciously looked at Sasuke after hearing the reason for being late given by Obito. Then Naruto immediately reacted and shouted, "Isn't this the reason for being late that Kakashi teacher always talks about?" He actually taught others so confidently, and he himself is the same. No, his reason is much more excessive than this. Obito. Minato Namikaze smiled awkwardly after hearing this, and Obito was also aroused by Kakashi's motherly tone and retorted, "Don't you have the feeling of tenderness in your heart? You only know what rules are, so annoying. The important thing is self-control." Seeing that they continued to argue endlessly, Nahorin quickly comforted them, Okay, you two stop arguing. After all, we are all classmates in the same class." Chapter 483. Lin, you've spoiled him too much? Today is a very important day for me. Hearing Kakashi say this, Lin felt a little embarrassed. On the contrary, Obito, the instigator, looked confused, not knowing what they were talking about. If you can't even do something as trivial as keeping time, don't even talk about self-control. These are all minor issues. I'm more curious about how an Uchiha could have such a personality and look so silly. It unexpectedly matches the personalities of Naruto and Sasuke, and even their modes of getting along are very similar. The team began to move forward, and Minato began to explain the situation. From today on, Kakashi will be a Jonin like me, so for the sake of mission efficiency, I will separate from Kakashi's team, because Konoha is now unprecedentedly short of combat power. At this time, Obito barely reacted. Seeing his confused look, Lin said helplessly, "Didn't I say before, Obito, to give Kakashi a gift?" Not to mention Obito, who immediately showed an awkward and unhappy expression. Minato and Lin gave Kakashi a three-pronged kunai and a modified medical kit respectively, and then Obito saw Kakashi's hand stretched out to him and spread out his palm. "What do you mean by that hand? I have nothing to give you." Obito made a sour face, and Kakashi withdrew his hand directly after hearing it, and responded rudely, "Forget it, it doesn't matter, I don't think you can give anything good, useless things are a burden." "What? Jonin? How old is Kakashi at this time?" According to the information, Kakashi became a Jonin at the age of 12. Oh my god. 12 years old, Naruto and the others have just graduated. Even in wartime, it is quite old to become a Jonin at this age. Incredible. Should we say that he is worthy of being a Chunin at the age of 6, being a Jonin at this age? His strength is indeed beyond doubt, but his emotional intelligence needs to be improved. What kind of operation is it to directly ask for a gift? Ha. Not only is he arrogant, but he is also poisonous. It seems that he is more difficult to get along with than Sasuke. The relationship between the two feels worse than that between Naruto and Sasuke. Who would have thought that this boy would give the Sharingan to Kakashi in the end? If I could go back to that time, I would rather you didn't give me a gift, Obito. Kakashi touched his eyes covered by the forward protector. Although his eyes were filled with sadness, he still greedily looked at the childish quarrel between himself and Obito on the sky. At that time, I was really bad at speaking. Obito couldn't help it immediately after hearing this, and pointed at Kakashi with a broken face, questioning how he could become a Jonin. Kakashi didn't give in to him and mocked Obito for not being qualified to say such things to him. Obito, trembling all over, was despised again and again, and almost put his finger on Kakashi's nose, and said angrily, "I am Uchiha Obito of the Uchiha clan. One day I will surpass you, as long as I open my Sharingan. The Uchiha clan are all elites, even if they don't rely on this, they should be very powerful." Kakashi continued to be sarcastic, and Obito's face showed anger. Seeing that the atmosphere was a bit wrong, Lin hurried forward to persuade him. Strangely, Minato did not come forward to mediate, but directly talked about the content of the mission. Minato said that he would go to the front line alone to fight Iwagakure head-on, while Kakashi and his team's mission was to sneak into the enemy's rear and destroy the important hub that carried their transportation burden, the Canopy Bridge. The four of them will act separately after leaving the border. Judging from his appearance, this Uchiha boy should be the same age as Kakashi, which means that he is also 12 years old, but he is already a Jonin, while he hasn't even opened his Sharingan yet. At this age, if you haven't opened your eyes yet, you will basically be eliminated from the combat team in the Uchiha clan. It is rare for you to persist on the battlefield. In other words, this Obito is the last one in the Uchiha clan. He is really cut from the same mold as Naruto. I remember Sasuke often. I haven't heard anyone use this term to describe Naruto for a long time. Now it doesn't sound like they are mocking him, but rather mocking myself. Tisk. From the first time Naruto appeared in the Sky Curtain, anyone with a discerning eye should have understood that this term has nothing to do with him. After all, the last person in the family is busy saving the world and maintaining peace all day long. I'm getting off topic, let's get back to the Sky Curtain. Does anyone know the details of this mission? This is only Konoha knows, but how could they possibly tell such a thing? It seems that the person above doesn't quite understand the importance of the fourth Hokage. Generally, if he is involved in a mission, as the opposing party, he will definitely make detailed records, so just ask Iwagakure about this. Puff. Ha. I remember now, there is no need to ask Iwagakure about this, there are quite a few people who know about it. Before the destruction of the Canopy Bridge, the only major thing that Minato Namikaze did to Iwagakure was to instantly kill 50 Iwagakure ninjas on the front line, including many Jonins. It was a very famous battle in Minato Namikaze's ninja career. So it was at this time. I remember that Iwagakure suffered a great loss here. The team continued to set off. The four of them walked into a forest full of giant trees. The leader Kakashi keenly discovered the enemy's traces. In contrast, their actions also fell into the eyes of the Iwagakure Jonin hidden in the dark. Knowing that he had been exposed, the Iwagakure ninja didn't take it seriously at first because there was only one team on the opposite side. However, when he saw Minato's appearance clearly, his face changed slightly, but he was still ready to attack with a fluke mentality. Minato sensed 20 unfamiliar auras and immediately judged that the enemy should have used shadow clones. Kakashi had the same idea, so he volunteered to attack and let Minato be responsible for covering. Isn't this Iwagakure a demon leech? I remember that he was very strong. At that time, I investigated his disappearance for a while. It turned out that he was dealt with by the 4th Hokage. Poor. Meeting the 4th Hokage alone on the battlefield, this luck is also uncertain. 4th Hokage, wow. Not only did he not run away, but he was the first to use his shadow clone to prepare for the attack. Chapter 484. This guy deserves it. I remember that the order was issued to each village to escape immediately when encountering Minato Namikaze. This guy didn't recognize such an important person. He deserved to fall into the hands of the enemy. Tisk, the enemy is blind and daring, and Kakashi is eager to show off. He actually asked the 4th Hokage to support him. Is he so excited on his first day as a Jonin? Don't be impulsive, Kakashi. I'll attack and you can support me. Minato, who thought Kakashi was a little too aggressive, suggested, but Kakashi disagreed and made a seal in a serious manner. Teacher, I'm the captain today. I just want to try out the newly developed ninjutsu, Chidori. Kakashi shouted softly, and a piercing chirping sound came from his palm. The strong lightning made Obito and Rin, who were watching beside him, exclaim at the same time. However, Minato, who was also watching, showed a serious expression. When Kakashi was about to rush out, he raised his hand to block him. Using this technique, even if facing a group of enemies, they can be knocked down in an instant. Just like the teacher's nickname, and Kakashi looked ahead stubbornly. Teacher, you said that I am the captain now. The team members must obey the captain's command. This is the rule, teacher. Should I say he is worthy of being a genius? He created a ninjutsu like Chidori at the age of 12. His talent cannot be denied, but his personality is far worse than when he grew up. He is arrogant and stubborn, and he seems to attach too much importance to rules. I thought he was just using it to teach Obito a lesson before, but now it seems that there is indeed something wrong. He keeps talking about rules. Hearing this, Minato reluctantly put down his hand, and Kakashi was not polite. Dragging the lightning and rushing out, the enemy naturally had no reason to miss this opportunity for an undisguised frontal assault. A large number of Kyuubi were shot at Kakashi, and then they were intercepted by the shuriken thrown by Minato, who was responsible for covering. Kakashi also judged the enemy's position based on this, and the speed of the charge increased again. Minato threw shuriken at the enemy in the direction of Kakashi's attack to attract the enemy's attention, and Kakashi took the opportunity to receive with one move. He defeated the enemy in front of him and turned him into a cloud of smoke. Damn it. Shadow clones. Next one. Kakashi cheered up and continued to sprint towards the next target. How can we fight this? Let alone the great god, the 4th Hokage, even Kakashi would be in trouble. He is here alone to do reconnaissance missions. He doesn't take his life seriously. He should have retreated immediately when he felt something was wrong. Maybe the 4th Hokage and the others would let him go to take care of Kakashi. Tisk, let the 4th Hokage cooperate and support. I also want to try this kind of attack where there is no need to worry, just keep rushing forward. Strange, is it my illusion? I always feel that there is something wrong with Kakashi's movements. I must have seen it wrong. The enemy was beaten by Kakashi and had no chance to fight back. Besides, there is still the 4th Hokage to back him up. At this time, Obito, who had not entered the combat state at all, stared blankly at Kakashi's actions, until an enemy's shadow clone emerged from the ground and appeared in front of him, and Obito was frightened and came back to his senses. Minato flashed over and helped Obito to eliminate the enemy casually, and reminded him not to be careless and always be alert. Obito, who was frightened to tears, hurriedly said that he understood. On the other side, Kakashi had eliminated 17 enemy shadow clones and was rushing towards the 18th. The rock ninja was angry at his behavior of not taking people seriously at all, and directly appeared with a longsword in his hand and slashed at Kakashi, who was rushing towards him. Minato, who had been paying attention to the whole scene, naturally noticed the situation here. He appeared in front of Kakashi, who had no time to dodge, and at the cost of Kakashi's shoulder injury, he held him out of the enemy's attack range and returned to the position before the action. This. Obito was scared and cried? Am I seeing it right? Ha ha. This is the first time I've seen an Uchiha being scared and crying. This scene seems familiar. I still remember when Team 7 first went out of the village to perform a mission. The Kurigakure rebel ninja brother scared Naruto so much that he dared not move. At that time, Sasuke also showed his power, and Kakashi, the teacher, was watching the whole scene. Compare it, isn't it exactly the same as the situation here? It's really similar. I even doubt whether this guy is from the Uchiha clan. He behaves too cowardly, Sasuke commented expressionlessly. At first, Naruto didn't react. After a few seconds of thinking, after the circle, Naruto finally understood what Sasuke was saying. His face turned red with anger and he yelled, "What do you mean? Who are you calling a coward? Did I say that to you? Why are you so anxious to put yourself in the shoes of someone else?" Sasuke sneered. Since talking to Itachi, he has become more and more relaxed. Sasuke. You bastard. The fourth Hokage could have solved this battle in an instant, but Kakashi insisted on showing off. Look, he got into trouble. By the way, Kakashi didn't react? I remember that the leech was indeed a ninja famous for his speed. The rock ninja didn't dare to pursue, and also retreated and hid behind a big tree, panting and peeking at the situation of Kakashi and others, with an ominous premonition in his heart becoming stronger and stronger. Let Obito and Rin take care of Kakashi. Minato took off his backpack and loosened the straps. He instantly disappeared from the spot and appeared behind the enemy, holding a kunai on his neck. At this time, the backpack had just landed on the ground. Rin looked at this scene in surprise, and was impressed by Minato's speed. Could it be that you are the yellow flash of Konoha? The rock ninja didn't dare to move at all, and murmured in horror, our boss said to run away immediately when we meet him. Now I finally know the reason. I give up. He has already vaguely sensed the other party's identity, but he is still holding on to luck. This is the first time I have seen such a dedicated reconnaissance ninja. Here he comes. He has been hit by the spell. Now he can't escape. Space-time ninjutsu is really powerful. Ha ha ha. The fourth Hokage is so kind that he even let him finish his last complaint. So handsome. Yellow Flash. Naruto was immediately attracted by Minato's majestic performance. He temporarily forgot that he was still angry with Sasuke, and exclaimed proudly, "So awesome. Dad." Chapter 485. After defeating the enemy without any danger, Lin, as a medical ninja, quickly gave Kakashi emergency treatment. After judging his condition, Minato suggested that the four of them retreat temporarily to rest, but Kakashi still wanted to show off. Obito saw it and immediately said angrily, "Don't talk nonsense. It's all your fault for not listening to the teacher and messing around that this happened." Kakashi was not willing to be outdone and retorted, "It's not your turn to teach me a lesson. You are an elite of the Uchiha clan who was scared and cried." Obito quickly argued that he was crying because of sand in his eyes. Kakashi was too lazy to even expose this lie, and directly ridiculed him with the content of the ninja experience. "Oh, the little girl is also a medical ninja, doesn't that correspond to Sakura? Is it intentional that Kakashi became the leader of Team 7? It's just too much of a coincidence." Ha. Brother Obito is very good at passing the buck, and he immediately removed himself from this matter. This situation really has nothing to do with him. Even if he was scared and cried, the main responsibility is still on Kakashi. After all, he insisted on taking the initiative to attack. Really, it's okay to be scared and cry, but he also uses that kind of lie that can be seen through at a glance to quibble. It's normal. Young people like to save face, like Naruto, doesn't he often put on a tough and strong look? You two should stop. Look at the two as people became more and more excited. Minato rarely taught them in a stern tone, "Kakashi, rules and regulations are important, but they are not everything. I told you to act at the right time and adapt to circumstances." Thinking that someone was backing him up, Obito was about to mock, but Minato directed the conversation at him. "You too, Obito. You are wearing goggles, how could sand get into your eyes? Since you talked about self-control, don't just talk about it, but also make your mind strong. And Kakashi, don't use the technique just now." Minato pointed out the advantages and disadvantages of Chidori, saying that although this move is fast, the caster's eyesight is difficult to keep up with the speed of movement, And in this process it is basically impossible to react to the enemy's attack. It is an immature ninjutsu. Before we separate, I reiterate that for ninjas, teamwork is the most important thing. Hearing this, the three of them lowered their heads in shame. Can the fourth Hokage be powerful if he wants to? I thought he could only play the game of peacemaking. He is the leader of a village. Do you really think he is a fool? Oh. Kakashi really didn't react. Chidori has such a weakness. So that's how it is. The Sharingan makes up for Kakashi's lack of insight, so Raikiri has become his signature ninjutsu. It feels like this move is tailor-made for Uchiha. No wonder Sasuke, a latecomer, can play so many tricks. Tisk tisk. In a sense it is said that this move was done by Kakashi and Obito together. Is it true that the more they quarrel, the closer they will be to each other? This is true for Kakashi and Obito, and it is also true for Naruto and Sasuke. Teamwork is what teacher Kakashi taught us. Naruto held the back of his head with both hands and said teasingly, "It turns out that he didn't understand it when he was a child, and he felt worse than us." "Don't say it, it sounds a bit disgusting," Sasuke said with a look of disgust, because he remembered that it seemed that he took the initiative to hand lunch to Naruto, and then they passed Kakashi's test. It was just an ordinary graduation test, but when thinking of Naruto's persistence in himself, Sasuke immediately had an awkward feeling of being publicly executed. You are just as arrogant as Kakashi when he was a kid, and now you have to learn to be venomous. What's wrong with our team spirit? Late at night, the team walked out of the forest and camped on a grassy field. Obito, who had not slept for a long time, climbed up a big rock and sat next to Minato, who was on guard. Teacher. After a moment of silence, Obito said, "I know the importance of team spirit, but Kakashi has always treated me like an idiot, so I couldn't help but it's no wonder. I was born in the elite Uchiha clan, but I'm the last one. I admit that Kakashi is a great guy." Minato turned his eyes to the night sky and said in a vague voice, "Kakashi's father is Mr. Hatake Sasuke, a genius ninja known as Konoha White Fang. It is said that even the legendary three ninjas are inferior to his father. He spent my childhood around such a genius, so when I look at you, I may sometimes feel that I am not qualified." Obito is still self-aware. He knows that he is the last one in the class. He just likes to show off. It's harmless. Anyone with a normal mind should know his own strength. In such a precarious environment, blind arrogance can kill you at any time. Is Kakashi's father so powerful that even the three ninjas can't compare to him? White Fang became famous in the ninja world during World War II. Although the three ninjas also participated in World War II, they really became famous during the Third World War. From this point of view, when White Fang was alive, the three ninjas were indeed not as good as him. White Fang. I've heard of this name. I heard that he was a hero who sacrificed himself to protect the village. But I've never heard Kakashi mention him. Obito showed a surprised expression. Minato lowered his eyelids and replied softly, "The people in the village, including Kakashi, all respected this great man, until that incident happened. That incident, I shouldn't tell you this, but since you and Kakashi are companions, I hope you can understand." Minato looked at Obito and said seriously, "Kakashi's father, Mr. Hatake Tsukumo, was slandered and ended his life." Puff. What the hell? The Konoha White Fang who made the ninja world tremble with fear committed suicide? Hey. What a weird way to die. Committing suicide because of someone else's slander? Is he so fragile inside? Well, the word slander is usually used to describe one's own people, which means, great. I found that the people of Konoha are quite tolerant of outsiders, but on the contrary, they are ruthless to their own people. A strong man like Konoha White Fang was actually forced to death by their own people. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 486. Although I've basically let it go, it's still a bit painful to be reminded of this again. Kakashi said with a wry smile, and Kai, who was accompanying him, patted him on the shoulder to show encouragement. Hearing this, Obito showed an expression of disbelief, and since he had already spoken, Minato no longer hesitated to tell the whole story. A story about a man who gave up the mission in order to save his companions, which led to the failure of the mission and caused huge losses to the village, and was then blamed by the villagers including the companions he saved, and finally couldn't bear the pressure and chose to commit suicide. So Kakashi never mentioned his father, and was extremely obsessed with rules and regulations. Looking at Obito with a complicated expression, Minato said softly, "Obito, even if it's just a little bit, I hope you don't blame him. Kakashi has no ill intentions." Well, this is not slander, isn't it? Abandoning the mission without authorization caused the village to suffer heavy losses. Isn't it his own fault? Isn't it too much for others to blame him? The only thing I didn't expect is that his psychological endurance is so weak. It was indeed wrong for him to abandon the mission, but the question is why he gave up the mission. Don't you mention this? It's not easy to put the reason for saving your companions here. There's no need to say more about how to choose between sacrificing one person and sacrificing the entire group. The above probably don't know what a lifelong friendship is. This kind of thing is easy to say, but if it really happens, it will definitely become a painful choice. I was wondering why Kakashi always talked about rules. It's no wonder that he has become so extreme when he encountered such a thing at such a young age. After Kakashi died in the battle, what White Fang said to Kakashi was referring to this incident, so he has been entangled whether Kakashi will forgive him. The next day, the 4 people who adjusted their status quickly walked out of the border. Before splitting up, Minato reminded them tirelessly, "Next, we will split into 2 groups. You have to work hard. Yesterday's enemy just happened to be scouting alone. It will be a group battle later. You have to be extra careful. Let's go, Captain." Obito pursed his lips and responded a little embarrassedly. Although it was very unexpected, Kakashi did not say much. Under Minato's order, the 3 of them immediately set off and sprinted towards their goal. Avoiding various hidden traps in the bamboo forest, Kakashi and the other 2 came to a small river flowing in the bamboo forest, where 2 Iwagakure ninjas were lying in ambush. Well, I suddenly feel that Obito is quite reasonable and even gave Kakashi a way out. Even his empathy ability is on par with Naruto's. As long as the other party is justified, it's not impossible to lower your head a little. Huaguang and Oishi, these 2 are also Iwagakure ninjas. Can Kakashi and the others handle them? Relying on his keen sense of smell, Kakashi discovered the enemy in the dark in advance and gestured to the other 2. Almost at the same time, a large number of sharpened bamboos were launched. This time, Obito, who was prepared in advance, used a great fireball technique to burn the bamboos to ashes before they fell. A rock ninja using 2-handed hidden blades attacked from the air following the trap. Kakashi, holding a 3-pronged kunai, rushed forward without any hesitation. The 2 immediately had a fierce close combat in the bamboo forest. However, all this was just a tactic of the enemy to divert attention. Another rock ninja approached from behind the 3 people with a camouflage shadow technique, knocked Lin unconscious and captured her effortlessly. After a simple greeting, the 2 rock ninjas disappeared without any hesitation. Obito's fireball is pretty powerful. It seems he's not that incompetent. Don't make a fuss. Don't think he's incompetent just because he claims to be the last in the Uchiha clan. He's still better than most civilian ninjas. No, maybe Kakashi's fighting ability has reached the level of a Jonin, but he's still a little bit short in other aspects. He fell into the enemy's trap so easily. Obito is also responsible for not cooperating well. Asshole! Obito shouted and chased after him, but as soon as he started, he was stopped by Kakashi. Then Kakashi conveyed his thoughts to Obito, who could not suppress his emotions and asked angrily, "What? Do you know what you said?" "I know." His tone was a little hesitant, but Kakashi still repeated it seriously with a sullen face. "Let's continue the mission like this. Where is Lin?" "What should we do with Lin?" Obito asked angrily. Hearing this, Kakashi with a calm face, he said that the most urgent task was to complete the mission before the enemy got their battle plan, and pointed out that as long as Rin cooperated as a medical ninja to help the enemy with treatment, she could be temporarily spared, and they could find a way to rescue her after the mission was over. Hey! I just realized that I had become like White Fang. Wow, let Kakashi experience the situation of White Fang directly. It's different after being hurt. He made a choice directly. Don't forget Obito. With his personality, he will never agree with Kakashi's decision. It depends on who can convince him later. From the fact that he entrusted his eyes to Kakashi before he died and asked Kakashi to take care of Rin, the result is obvious. Although I tend to Obito emotionally, I think there is nothing wrong with Kakashi's decision. Under the premise that the captured teammates are likely to survive, continuing the mission is the most appropriate arrangement. In fact, after all, it depends on how important the captured people are in the hearts of the teammates. No matter what is done, in fact, all the choices can be explained, as long as you can bear the consequences. You think Lin will be fine, that's just your guess. What if they are just some irresponsible minions? Obito pointed at Kakashi anxiously. Rin should be saved first, not the mission now. In order to complete the mission, you have to sacrifice your companions without hesitation. This is the rule. If this mission fails, the war will continue, and more people may die at that time. Kakashi insisted on the rules, but Obito was equally stubborn and almost roared, but these are all assumptions. You won't easily give up a companion who has been with you through life and death for this. Chapter 487. When we were injured, it was Lin who saved us with medical ninjutsu. Without her, we would have died long ago. Well, although I know Obito will not agree with Kakashi's decision, this reaction always feels a bit unreasonable. Kakashi's explanation is actually quite reasonable. Obito is just too concerned. In fact, both of them have problems. One is too rational and the other is too emotional. Disagreements are bound to occur in such situations. This is Lin's mission. Kakashi answered without any emotion. Hearing this, Obito could no longer bear it and punched him in the face. I really still hate you. It doesn't matter if you like it or not, I am the captain, you must obey my orders. Kakashi rubbed his cheek that was hit and explained, no matter what the situation is, in order to avoid disagreements, one person must make the decision, which is why it is necessary to make the team members obey the captain's rule. Obito, you don't have the ability, so I will be the captain. Obito grabbed Kakashi's shoulder strap with a ninja sword and lifted him up, and asked sternly, then why don't you save Lin? Don't you have the ability? How much psychological trauma does Kakashi have? In order to avoid the situation of his father, he said that the concern of his companions was a mission, so that he could feel at ease. He is just deceiving himself. He just wants to avoid a dilemma, so he just gives up one of them. This lame excuse is used to convince himself. Tisk, I don't know if it's because of Naruto's influence. Now I don't feel much disobedience when I see such a scene of disobeying the captain's orders. It is clearly prohibited by the ninja code, then you are indeed greatly influenced. Naruto disobeys orders because he has the capital to save his life after making trouble and guide things in a good direction. If other people do the same, go and see how many of the Jonin who sacrificed their lives every year lost their lives because of disobeying orders. Kakashi looked into Obito's eyes without dodging. If you delay the mission because of your emotions, you will regret it later. That's why ninjas have the rule of erasing emotions. You should know this, Rin, Obito said painfully. Rin was worried about your safety, so she gave you a medical kit as a gift. There is also an amulet she sewed for you. Medical kits and medical ninjas are to increase the success rate of missions. This is an excellent system created by Konoha. Kakashi's tone remained the same. Didn't I tell you yesterday that useless things are just a burden? Useless things? Obito's pupils trembled slightly. Kakashi doesn't look emotionless at all. I agree with this. Apart from anything else, his narcissism is very obvious. Hearing about erasing emotions reminds me of a guy called Zabuza who once said something similar. In the end, he cried like a baby. As for bringing up Zabuza and whipping him when it comes to this, how shameless is he? Kakashi is so cruel. Just to strengthen his own ideas, he trampled on the care of his companions until they were worse than the mud in the ground. After a moment of silence, Kakashi gave the answer to support his actions. What ninjas need are tools to carry out their missions. Emotions are superfluous. Are you serious? Obito trembled body, with a look of disbelief. Do you really think so? Kakashi turned his eyes away somewhat unnaturally. His mind flashed with the back of his father carrying a ninja sword. After hesitating for a while, his eyes regained firmness. Yes, that's it. Seeing that persuasion was fruitless, Obito let go of his hand cleanly and turned away. Forget it, we have always been incompatible anyway. I will go to save Lin alone. Excessive feelings. If you really think so, don't avoid Obito's eyes. Ninjas are also human beings. Even if they say they will erase their feelings, they will eventually be touched. Is it because we have witnessed Naruto's passionate feelings that we gradually abandon this concept? Or is it because this concept itself is outdated, So we gradually accept Naruto's actions. Obito, Big P just ignored everything in a fit of anger. Going to save people alone? That's too much of an impulse. Look at Kakashi's hesitant look, he will definitely help later. Looking at Obito's determined back, Kakashi couldn't help but say, you don't understand anything. What happens to people who break the rules? I think White Fang is a real hero. One sentence interrupted Kakashi's thoughts, making him widen his eyes involuntarily. Obito turned his head and looked at Kakashi without any confusion in his eyes. Indeed, in the world of ninjas, people who violate the rules and regulations are called scum, but people who don't cherish their companions are even worse scum. Since they are all scum, I would rather choose to break the rules. If this is not the right ninja, then I will defeat ninjas. Watching Obito leave, although Kakashi could already see his hesitation, he turned around without hesitation and headed in the opposite direction, and the two of them went in opposite directions. Wow! A killer move. Not only did he use Kakashi's father as an example, he also gave his own understanding, which is better than Kakashi's blind repetition. It's just nice words, and he beat the ninja. Are the unspoken rules so easy to change? It's undoubtedly a fantasy to want to practice this idea during the war. After all, even in this peaceful time, didn't many people dislike Naruto's behavior at the beginning? Basically, Obito's ending can be foreseen. If it's just talk, it may not be a big deal. After all, who hasn't boasted? But if he's serious, we don't have to be in the war. Even now, don't expect any good ending. Emotionalism is not a good word at any time. Chapter 488. Emotional. What a good word. I want to be emotional. More emotional than anyone else. Afe widened his eyes and squeezed out a hoarse voice from his mouth. From the beginning to now, Afe has been suppressing his emotions except for a slight burst of anger at the beginning. Until now, when he saw Obito on the sky saying those words with a firm face, Afe finally couldn't help but release all the emotions in his heart. That's a good point, Uchiha Obito. It's a pity that you focus on the wrong point. Feelings are indeed important, but the most important thing is the word you mentioned casually, ninja. This is the root of all tragedies. The ninja system covers up the hope of this world, so I want to break the ninja system and bring all the beautiful emotions to everyone in the Infinite Moon reading. Roaring at the sky, Afe vented the depression and pain caused by the failure of the operation, which led to the indefinite extension of the Infinite Moon reading plan, and thus strengthened his determination to bring peace to the ninja world. No one knows the mood of the person involved. For the audience, what everyone is concerned about is the Uchiha Obito who existed in the past on the sky. Among them, Naruto may be the one who has the most common language with him. This guy is quite handsome. Naruto nodded seriously with his hands folded in front of his chest, and he had completely forgotten that he was angry about being compared with Obito before. At the same time, on the front line of the battlefield, accompanied by a shocking explosion, Konoha's side had only 4 remnants to maintain the defense line, while the enemy's Iwagakure, there were nearly 50 people. Just when the 4 Konoha ninjas thought they were doomed, Minato finally arrived here. After learning about the situation on the battlefield from the survivors, Minato took out dozens of flying thunder god Kyune and placed them in front of the 4 people, asking them to throw all these Kyune into the enemy formation, and then said that the enemies would be left to him to deal with. This is too much nonsense. Anyway, a Konoha ninja who was not very familiar with Minato wanted to object immediately, but was immediately interrupted by another Konoha ninja. Shut up and do it. Next you can see the yellow flash battle of Konoha. It's only a moment, don't miss it. Ha, it's this battle. Let me see how 50 Iwagakure are dealt with. Tisk tisk, 5 people from Konoha, 50 people on the other side. Although I have said it many times, but I still want to repeat it again. Time-space ninjutsu is really good strong. Strictly speaking, there is only one person on Konoha's side. What's wrong with this Konoha ninja who opposes? He doesn't even know the ace ninja of his own village. It's understandable that the top leaders don't know all the middle and lower levels, but it's not right to be the other way around, especially since Minato Namikaze has such a recognizable face. That's true for women, but not necessarily for men. On the other side, Kakashi, who was heading towards the canopy bridge, had to stop because of the pain from the wound on his shoulder. It was this pause that reminded Kakashi of Lin's earnest advice to him when she was treating him, Minato's reminder that he shouldn't stick to the rules, and his father's resolute back. The last thing that came to mind was Obito's unwavering look when he said, White Fang is a true hero. People who don't cherish their companions are the worst scum. As if being tortured again and again, Kakashi's self-righteous heart was broken layer by layer, and he was completely stunned, not knowing whether to continue moving forward. Tisk. He is very shaken. In fact, Kakashi's behavior after growing up can also show his true nature, but he was too deeply affected by his father's death. Obito's eloquence is not inferior to Naruto. Just one sentence made Kakashi so entangled. Rather than saying that Obito's eloquence is good, it is better to say that Kakashi's own mind has a big loophole. It is only a matter of time for his mentality to change. Relying on his relatively solid tracking ability, Obito came alone to the mound where the two rock ninjas who kidnapped Rin were. Although Obito has tried his best to remind himself to stay calm and act carefully, he still leaked a trace of breath due to his lack of experience, allowing the two rock ninjas in the mound to notice his whereabouts. Leave that guy to me. Keep using your illusions and get the information out as soon as possible. The rock ninja named Oishi said as he slowly disappeared. At this time, Obito had just adjusted his state and as he was preparing to act, he heard the enemy's voice behind him. Obito was startled and turned his head quickly, then he saw a nimble figure descending from the sky and slashing a dazzling white light to enter the sneak-attacking rock ninja. I was just wondering if Obito could find the enemy. It seems I was overthinking. In order to obtain intelligence during the war, every second counts. It is understandable that the two rock ninjas did not cover their tracks when they evacuated. I said that Uchiha Obito was just talking big. If Kakashi hadn't arrived in time, why would he save people? Well, although I also want to speak for Obito, this performance is really not good. He came to save people without any plan. He can't do anything except get himself involved. Obito and Kakashi arrived at the same time, right? Did he think it through immediately after the breakup and then rushed over? Kakakazai. Why are you here? Obito looked at the person in disbelief, and Kakashi habitually said, I don't trust a crybaby like you to do things alone. Not to mention Obito, who showed a complicated look, looking at Kakashi. The injured Oishi said in doubt, silver hair and chakra knife shining with white light. Could it be that you are Konoha White Fang? This is a relic left by my father. Kakashi did not try to hide it, raised the knife and answered coldly. Hearing this, Oishi was relieved, so that's it, it's the child of White Fang, then there's nothing to worry about. As he said, Oishi hid his figure again, and even professionally covered up the bloody smell of the wound. I don't know how Kakashi feels at this moment. He was so confident not long ago, but now he appears here. Chapter 489. In such a tense situation, who would care about such things? At most, he would be teased a few times afterwards. By the way, is the intelligence system of Iwagakure working? Kakashi looks and is so young that he would mistake him for White Fang. It's too outrageous. As far as I can remember, White Fang seems to be active behind enemy camps, doing sabotage work. So it's hard to describe him with a specific image, because he will definitely be disguised. So it's actually no problem to identify him by features. Who says White Fang can't look like a child? The fourth Mizukage smiled and said nothing. Kakashi naturally noticed this and realized that he could only rely on airflow and sound to determine the enemy's position. Although Obito perked up after hearing Kakashi's analysis, his emotions were very unstable due to the unexpected situation. Therefore, he didn't react until the enemy approached a few meters behind him, but it was too late to make subsequent responses. Kakashi did find the enemy's trail one step ahead, but because the distance was too extreme, Obito could only survive at the cost of his left eye being destroyed. Looking at Kakashi who was injured and fell, Obito was frightened again and burst into tears. He rushed to him with a panicked face and helped him up, crying Kakashi's name anxiously. This. I'm scared to tears again. What's wrong with this Obito? It's okay that he has no ability, but his psychological quality is so poor. He dares to say that he wants to save people. He is completely dragging his feet. It would be better for Kakashi to do it alone. The mission was already difficult, and now Kakashi's left eye is gone. I don't know how it will end. Kakashi lost an eye, so he was compensated with a Sharingan later. Well, if there is such a good thing, I am willing to share Kakashi's burden. I am not greedy. I will exchange 2 eyes for a Sharingan. Oishi carefully discarded the blood-stained kunai. Kakashi, who noticed this, first lamented the enemy's difficulty, then looked at Obito who was crying, and pretended to be relaxed and laughed. Is there sand in your eyes again? If you are a ninja, don't cry. I am not dead yet. Obito raised his goggles and wiped away his tears. He remembered what Minato criticized him before, and suddenly understood the reality that he was a slacker. But even so, Obito believed that there were things he could not give in to people who don't cherish their companions are the worst scum. Remembering this sentence he had just said to Kakashi not long ago, Obito's eyes immediately became firm. Only this sentence, I don't want it to stay on the lips. Kakashi is seriously injured, how can we fight him now? You haven't reacted yet after seeing this? The protagonists of today's story are Obito and Kakashi. The atmosphere has reached this point, and it must be Obito's turn to perform next. Yes, there is also this thing called Sharingan. The difference between the Uchiha before opening and the Uchiha after opening is huge. At this time, Oishi, who felt that he had seized the opportunity, rushed from behind Obito in stealth mode. Just when he was about to throw the kunai in his hand, Obito, who had been a step behind, suddenly turned around and stabbed the kunai in his hand. Two Magatama were clearly visible in his red pupils. How could it be? How did you find me? Oishi's body slowly appeared in the air. He should have died with his eyes open, but after seeing Obito's eyes clearly, he immediately realized what happened. Those eyes turned out to be. Oishi fell down before he finished speaking. Obito took back his kunai and said firmly, it's time for me to protect my companions. It turned out to be like this. Although I caught the enemy off guard, I killed an enemy as soon as I opened my eyes. Shinobu, it still feels exaggerated. No. How did you Iwagakure get your intelligence? Didn't you see the bright family emblem behind Obito? Don't you know what the Sharingan is? Why didn't you have any defense against this, and why were you so surprised after being killed? During the war, he didn't even recognize the Uchiha family emblem. He really deserved to be killed. After dealing with the enemy, Obito turned his attention to his own eyes, experiencing the wonderful feeling of being able to clearly see chakra and being full of power. In contrast, Kakashi lost his left eye was pierced, but fortunately he had a good ability to withstand psychological pressure. After lightly exposing this, he took out the medical kit Lin gave him and treated it urgently. After that, the two did not delay. After a simple adjustment, they walked into the mound where Lin was imprisoned, and stood side by side facing the second rock ninja Huaguang. Through the two people's instant judgment of Lin's illusion and Obito's Sharingan, Huaguang saw that the two were not simple, but still looked down on them a little because of their age. Well, with one gaining and one losing, Obito's strength is probably equal to Kakashi's now. Don't be envious, this is the power of the bloodline limit. Tisk, I was thinking about how Kakashi and the others would deal with the two Jonin, but it suddenly became a situation of equal strength. It's really unpredictable. Unlike the other two, Huaguang is more famous in the ninja world, so he shouldn't be that easy to deal with. However, even so, after the two sides really started fighting, Kakashi and Obito still felt a lot of pressure. Fortunately, the two of them cooperated perfectly at this time. Obito bent down to avoid Huaguang's two-handed horizontal slash. Kakashi seized the opportunity to swing the chakra knife in his hand towards the enemy who was wide open. In this case, Huaguang actually stopped the original attack and slashed back at Kakashi with his two-handed hidden sword. With his extraordinary insight, Obito saw through Huaguang's attack intention in advance, and directly raised his feet with one hand to block Huaguang's arms, allowing Kakashi to swing his sword and hit the enemy without any hindrance. Huaguang and Kakashi's performance was within my expectations, but Obito was really a bit unexpected. Is this really the same person who was easily scared to tears before? Chapter 490. With the insight of the Sharingan, all body movements will become slow motion in their eyes. In this case, as long as the physical skills are a little bit good, it is not impossible to cooperate with Kakashi to fight a veteran Jonin. Tisk, Huaguang's swordsmanship is quite good. The slashing trajectory that can be stopped and changed at will is indeed much better than the two rock ninjas in front. It's a pity that it's still a little bit behind the Sharingan, and this is only a double Magatama Sharingan. After knocking down the enemy, the two rushed to Lin's front without stopping to untie the illusion and bindings for her, but before they could evacuate and escape, Huaguang, who was knocked down, actually rushed out of the mound with his injured body, and then used a move of earth escape. Yansu collapsed to cause the entire mound to collapse instantly. Seeing the bad situation, the three rushed to the cave entrance. Unexpectedly, Kakashi was hit by a piece of rubble in the blind spot of his left eye and fell to the ground. In order to save him, Obito risked his life to pick up Kakashi and throw him away, but he himself was hit by a huge rock. The air was filled with smoke and dust. Kakashi and Lin survived by relying on the space blocked by the stone. They struggled to get up from the ground, and then heard Obito's voice behind them. "Are you okay?" Lin. Kakashi. "Hey, what's going on? Not finishing off the enemy after defeating him. Did the teacher teach you that?" Hell, this kind of example of not finishing off the enemy and then being killed is really common. Even Kakashi, a genius, made such a low-level mistake. Obito is in danger. One wrong step leads to another. Kakashi is not a qualified captain at all. The two turned their heads to look. Just one look made their faces change drastically. A huge rock pressed down on half of Obito's body, and a large amount of blood overflowing from his mouth dyed his entire chin red. "Obito." Kakashi rushed to Obito and tried to help him push the boulder away. However, the rocks were pressed down so hard that there was no room for him to move. Seeing his futile actions, Obito softly stopped him and said, "Stop. That's enough, Kakashi. I can't. My right half of my body may have been crushed. I can't feel anything." Hearing this, Kakashi stopped his actions, knelt on the ground with a face full of pain, and pounded the ground helplessly. "Damn it. Damn it. If I had listened to you from the beginning and come to save Lin together, it won't be like this. I don't deserve to be a captain. I don't deserve to be a Jonin." So this is where Obito died in this mission, and then Kakashi got his Sharingan. It's really bad to think about it. In the first mission after becoming a Jonin, the companions who had been with him day and night died. You can imagine how much of a blow it was. I know Kakashi can't accept it, but what is he regretting? Although he didn't come with Obito, they arrived at the same time, so what's the difference between them and coming together? If we had reached a consensus from the beginning, we could have arranged a targeted battle plan, and the result might have been different. Looking at the painful expressions on the faces of the two people kneeling beside him, Obito pretended to be relaxed and chuckled intermittently. "Speaking of which, I forgot one thing. I was the only one. I didn't give you a gift to celebrate becoming a Jonin." Kakashi. After these words came out, Kakashi and Lin were stunned at the same time, and Obito said to himself, "What should I give you? I thought about it carefully, and now I finally thought of it. Don't worry. It's not useless, extra stuff. I'll give you my Sharingan." Obito said with a sincere blessing, "No matter what the people in the village say, you are an amazing Jonin. This is my idea, accept it." After that, Obito asked Lin to undergo an eye transplant operation immediately. Looking at Kakashi, who was full of guilt and unwilling to move, Obito comforted him, "I'm about to die, but I will be your eyes, and see the future for you." Hearing this, Kakashi closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, he was completely free of confusion. It also corresponds to the content of the gift at the beginning. This gift is really heavy. By the way, Kakashi got the Sharingan like this. Won't the Uchiha clan make trouble for him after he returns to Konoha? As a disciple of the fourth Hokage, Kakashi naturally belongs to the Hokage line. After that, it depends on what the Hokage will give to the Uchiha as a condition for exchange. After all, it's not always possible that Kakashi dig out his eyes and send them back to the Uchiha clan. Looking at the lingering sadness in Kakashi's eyes, Kai patted him on the back and comforted him. "He is an amazing Konoha ninja." "Yes." Kakashi took a deep breath. "He will always be my hero." The top of the collapsed earth mound exploded, and Kakashi appeared on the mound. In his left eye that couldn't stop shedding tears, a red Sharingan stared at Wagwang, who was waiting for reinforcements below, which made the mocking expression on his face suddenly serious. Inside the mound, Obito, who had entrusted his left eye to Kakashi, took Lin's hand and said seriously, "Kakashi. Lin. I'll leave it to you." Kakashi drew out the chakra knife behind him, rushed towards the enemy without hesitation and chopped it down fiercely, but was caught by Huagwang, who was serious, and even the chakra knife was cut off by him. The Huagwang who had gained the advantage was not merciful. He retracted his arms and struck out with two hidden blades. At this time, Kakashi had already landed, and Chidori instantly got in his hands and faced him without fear. The knife is broken, and the next one to be active is Kakashi with Sharingan. It's not that Kakashi's swordsmanship is bad, but I always feel that he is more powerful when he uses his hands as a sword, even if he is the son of White Fang. Everyone has different talents, so he can't be compared with White Fang. The battle was decided almost in an instant. Kakashi climbed to the gap at the top of the mound panting. Although he had completely lost his vision, Obito seemed to have sensed something and said directly, "Kakashi, take Rin away, the enemy's reinforcements are coming." Chapter 491. Hearing this, Lin tightly grasped Obito's hand, looking reluctant to leave, but Obito took the initiative to let go and urged the two to leave quickly. However, the enemy did not give them time. Several teams from Iwagakure arrived here and without saying a word, they jointly performed Earth-style, earth-splitting palm to crack the earth. Kakashi's face changed drastically when he saw this. Lin could only look at Obito for the last time with tears in her eyes, then held Kakashi's hand and fled from the mound. Under the influence of the ninjutsu, the originally unstable mound collapsed again. It was so hard to get along with Kakashi, but, in the end, I still couldn't confess to Lin. I really want to be with them forever. With endless concern for Kakashi and Lin, Obito was completely buried in the mound. Tisk, who would have thought that a veteran Jonin like Kakashi would lose so easily to Kakashi, who had just become a Jonin? This is the uncertainty of battle. No one can fully predict the outcome of a battle. Probably only people like Naruto would always say words like absolute, certain, and sure to win. It's a pity for Obito. He just had a brilliant performance, but he died immediately. This is the most intuitive example. Not everyone has Naruto's ability to turn danger into safety. As long as you work hard, you will definitely succeed. Most people find it difficult to achieve even the ordinary wish of wanting to be with your companions. Seeing Uchiha Obito's exit, Afei's eyes were slightly dazed, and he murmured, "It can be realized. As long as the plan succeeds, we can be together forever. Whether it is Kakashi, Obito, or Rin, no one will be sacrificed." Kakashi took Rin into the forest, but because of his lack of physical strength, he was soon surrounded by the pursuing rock ninjas. Faced with this situation, Kakashi gritted his teeth and refined the last bit of chakra to perform Chidori in order to protect Rin. Obito, this technique. You made it complete, in order to live up to his promise to Obito. Facing the teasing expressions of the enemies around him like cat and mouse, Kakashi had lightning flashing in one hand, and held the three-pronged kunai in the other hand, and said to Rin in a deep voice, "Rin, I will stop them, you take the opportunity to escape." But, knowing what Kakashi's decision meant, Lin couldn't make a decision at all. Surrounded by several teams, if there is no reinforcement, Kakashi's current state will be useless even if he fights hard. Didn't you see the kunai in his hand? The fourth Hokage should be here now. The enemies on the front line won't take much effort, no matter what. I'm still a step too slow. The fastest man in the ninja world can't save the lives that were sacrificed. Kakashi also knew this and said firmly, "This is what Obito asked me to do, so even if I risk my life, I will protect you, Kakashi." Rin, Obito has always liked you, especially, and cherished you, so he tried his best to save you and protect you, perhaps because she felt that if she didn't say it, she would have no chance. At this time, Lin also plucked up the courage and cried, "Then Kakashi." "Me too." "Me." Kakashi interrupted Lin and said self-deprecatingly, "I'm a scum who wants to abandon you." Hearing this, Lin lowered her eyes with a sad face. The Iwa ninja, who couldn't hold back any longer, rushed towards the two of them. Kakashi focused all his attention and shouted, "Go!" Lin. Does Lin want to confess to Kakashi? It's obvious. Even the emotional entanglement is exactly the same as Team 7. Are you sure there is no connection between them? It's indeed very similar, but Kakashi's attitude towards Lin is much better than Sasuke's attitude towards Sakura. Before Sasuke decided to take revenge, his attitude towards Sakura was actually quite good. He became heartless after knowing the truth. Kakashi didn't remember what happened afterwards. When he woke up again, he saw a bright night sky. At this time, Minato was sitting next to Kakashi. From him, Kakashi learned that the previous enemies had been dealt with by Minato, and Lin was also safe, but one person would never come back. With this sadness, the three of them successfully destroyed the target of this mission, the Canopy Bridge, and the Third Ninja World War entered its final stage. This battle, Konoha gave birth to two heroes with Sharingan. One was engraved on the memorial, and the other became the famous Sharingan Kakashi in the future. Poor Rock Ninja, 50 ninjas were killed in the front line, and several teams here are gone. Without a master to manage the overall situation, Ordinary Jonins will only have to spend more time and effort when encountering people like the fourth Hokage, and it is impossible to make things difficult for him. It's over. The whole story is basically as expected. Except for a few details, there is not much to discover. After all, it is a story from the past, and it is the more famous Battle of Komubi Bridge in the 3 World Wars. Most of the inside information has long been emptied out by the intelligence departments of each village, so naturally there will be no unexpected surprises. The story of the Sharingan hero with no inside information and mediocre has ended. The audience quickly stopped thinking about this story and shifted their attention to the second story. Thunder roared, rain poured down, Sai rode on the ink bird, soaring against the wind in the sky. Is this the place? Those ninjas with blood limit disappeared here. Sai glanced at the mountain covered with rock spikes below. Before he could observe further, a large number of gray-green feathers flew from above, and then a violent explosion occurred without any warning. Sai, who was blown away by the shock wave, tried his best to maintain the balance of the ink bird, but the enemy in the dark did not intend to give him time to adjust. A strange monster with huge wings broke through the smoke and dust of the explosion and attacked. The speed of the ink bird was obviously not as fast as the alien monster, and it was easily defeated by the alien monster and turned into a pool of ink. Sai fell from the sky without any defense. It's Sai. Looking at his age, this is a story of the future. Chapter 492. The Bloodline Ninja is missing? I feel like there's some conspiracy going on. The strange-looking flying ninja beast is so fast. Sai actually has no power to resist. Is it a ninja beast? I seem to see some kind of mechanical structure. Sai. Naruto rushed through a rocky mountain without hesitation. Seeing his impulsive behavior, Kakashi, who was following closely with Sakura, shouted, "Come back, Naruto. We have to continue the mission. I can't abandon Sai," Naruto responded, ignoring Kakashi's order. Not only did he not stop, but he accelerated and rushed into the heights of the spiked mountain. Then he saw Sai unconscious outside the gate of a gloomy castle in the distance. Naruto rushed over without saying a word and helped Sai up. Just as he was anxiously checking Sai's physical condition, 2 dog-like monsters suddenly appeared and attacked him. Naruto didn't want to get entangled, so he used his shadow clone to intercept the enemy, and he turned around and fled with Sai, but saw 2 strange dogs shooting needles from behind that were pulled by ropes and easily defeated the shadow clones, and scratched Naruto's shoulder. Fortunately, Kakashi and Sakura, who arrived later, stopped the 2 strange dogs respectively, and everyone escaped successfully. Isn't this the same as Obito in the previous story, who ignored the captain's orders in order to save his companions? What's even more interesting is that this captain is still Kakashi. This is why Kakashi trusts Naruto so much, because seeing him is like seeing Obito. The scene just now was a bit fast. I seemed to see a castle. The enemy's lair. These 2 dog-shaped ninja beasts also have the same mechanical structure as the flying ninja beasts just now. Is this some kind of standard equipment? Not easy. They actually took Kakashi's Raikiri. In comparison, Sakura's fist is still so powerful. After escaping for a distance, the 4 hid under a rock spike, and Sakura took action to treat Sai. At this time, Naruto came over and said something caring, but Sakura suddenly stood up and slapped him. Naruto, who was slapped away, covered his nose in grievance. Sakura did not care about his emotions, and suddenly pulled open Naruto's cloak to reveal the wound on his shoulder, and angrily taught him a lesson. Look at yourself, aren't you also injured so badly? If you must go to save people, at least make a battle plan before going. You are so careless and reckless. Sakura kept scolding Naruto. Seeing their spirited appearance, Kakashi, who was relieved, turned his head to look at the sky behind him, looking at the sunlight piercing the clouds, and said with deep emotion, "It really looks like you back then, right, Obito? Sakura is becoming more and more like an old woman, and she is a menopausal old woman. What attracts Naruto to her nagging? I feel that the damage caused by her big fight is much more serious than the injury on Naruto's shoulder. If you say a few more words, the injury on Naruto's shoulder will recover." See, I knew Kakashi would definitely see the shadow of Obito in Naruto, not to mention this almost one-to-one replica. Kakashi himself admitted that he did see the shadow of Obito in Naruto, and he often fell into nostalgia for Obito because of this, but thinking of this, Kakashi smiled unnaturally. It was really too much effort. Every time he was worried because of Naruto's disobedience and unauthorized actions, Kakashi even suspected that the reason why he was so weak on the Sky Curtain was that in addition to the consumption of the Sharingan, Naruto also needed to bear a large part of the responsibility. The 4 members of the team returned to Konoha. Kakashi, as usual, went to the Hokage's office alone to report on the mission. Although we have successfully tracked down the 4 bloodline limit ninjas who disappeared from various ninja villages, they are all here. Kakashi pointed to the map on the table. They lost their traces in Mount Sumeru in the Golden Wheel Mountains near the junction of Iwagakure Village and Kusagakure Village. Thank you for your hard work. Tsunade, who understood the situation, began to sort out the information at hand. Seeing this, Kakashi asked about the next action plan, but Tsunade did not intend to leave everything to him, and bluntly stated that she had other arrangements. Kakashi did not relax after hearing this. Instead, he analyzed secretly as if he was hiding something. If there is another bloodline limit ninja who is targeted, I'm afraid it will be. Noticing that he looked worried, Tsunade showed Kakashi had a puzzled look on his face, but he obviously had no intention of speaking frankly. After changing the topic to Naruto and the others who were hospitalized, he said goodbye to Tsunade and left the office. In the corridor, Kakashi took out 2 dented and deformed bells from his pocket and stared at them with complicated eyes. It seems that this is a big deal. The disappearance of ninjas from other villages actually caused Konoha to send people to track and investigate. Generally speaking, for such a situation to occur, it must be an event that exceeds Konoha's influence. However, judging from Shianu's past behavior, this is probably another issue involving the entire ninja world. Okay, this time you directly pointed out the location of the incident. Now you can send someone there to see if there's any problem. Kakashi's words are meaningful. What is he hiding? What's the next one? Tell me, why are you hiding it? You use this tone, which means that the next target has a close relationship with Kakashi. Think about what bloodline ninjas are around him. Konoha has only a few bloodline limits. I won't mention the more famous ones such as Wood Release Sharingan and Byakugan, and there are also the more niche types such as Transparent Release. If we limit the scope to Kakashi, then the most conspicuous one is Sasuke's Sharingan. But Sasuke had already defected during this period. By the way, have you forgotten Kakashi's left eye? Isn't that also a Sharingan? Hey. It makes sense. It's understandable that he would feel complicated after learning through unknown channels that he is the next target of the mastermind behind the scenes. If that's the case, why didn't he confess to Tsunade? There's no need to hide such things. Maybe he has some unspeakable secrets, but the situation that can make a Jonin choose to hide, a little curious. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 493. The scene changes. To celebrate Naruto and Soni's recovery, the 12 little strong men gather in a barbecue restaurant for a social dinner. As a result, when the 2 main characters arrive at the scene, Sakura, who has heard the news, slaps the 2 seriously injured people to the ground and drags them back to the hospital to continue recuperating. It happened that Kakashi came to the hospital to visit the 2. He first gave Sai a book as a comfort gift, and then handed the 2 broken bells to Naruto. The familiar objects evoked Naruto's memories, but also made him wonder what Kakashi meant by this. Kakashi's answer was to let him find a way to repair the 2 bells. After explaining this matter, regardless of whether Naruto agreed or not, Kakashi walked to the door, said goodbye to Naruto meaningfully, and left the ward. Naruto, relying on his strong recovery ability, doesn't take his body seriously. The problem is that it's fine if he does it himself, but Sai doesn't have his recovery ability. It's a bit ignorant to drag others into it. Although Sakura's habit of punching and kicking is criticized, there are really people with her personality around Naruto. If it weren't for Sakura's discipline, Naruto's behavior might be even more excessive than it is now. So didn't someone say during the first Sky Curtain that the 2 of them were a nagging old woman and a rebellious son, and then because Naruto was a little more mature, they gradually changed in other directions? Bang! Sakura crushed a medical bag in her hand. Although it has been mentioned many times, every time Sakura sees the description of the old woman, she still can't suppress the anger in her heart. Almost every time she gets angry, her face changes and she grinds her teeth fiercely. It's all Naruto's fault. A young girl, became a nagging old woman inexplicably. Kakashi's worries are written all over his face, but Naruto is too thick-skinned to notice. Why does it feel like he is telling his last wishes? Does Kakashi think he will die? What kind of enemy is so powerful? Kakashi thinks he can't survive before they even fight. Kakashi was also very curious about what he had experienced on the sky screen to make him look so resigned, even though he fought desperately with Pine. At the same time, in the Golden Ring Mountains where the Bloodline Ninja disappeared, 3 Konoha Anbu were continuing to investigate along the route that Kakashi and others had previously investigated. Just in front of their route, 2 men and 1 woman were waiting to intercept them. Konoha's Anbu. Don't worry, no ninja can reach us. A child in a white robe and white hair walked out from behind the 3 people, speaking in an air of seniority while forming a seal and sending a shock wave towards the 3 Anbu. Although the 3 Anbu were not knocked away, when the shock wave passed through their bodies, they suddenly froze, and the chakra in their bodies uncontrollably flowed to the white-haired child and was swallowed into his mouth. That's all? Your attribute is Earth Escape. Feeling the chakra being absorbed, the white-haired child changed his hand seals to control the surge of the mountain and threw the 3 exhausted dark people off the cliff. Then he said proudly, "The time has come. The enemy this time is a child. I told you, don't judge a person's age by their height and appearance." Wow. Another ability to absorb chakra, and this time it's even better, absorbing it directly from a long distance. Fuck, how many times has this happened? If we continue, we will really turn the chakra absorption ninjutsu into a basic ninjutsu. Why are Konoha's Anbu acting like cannon fodder? First sight killing. This is what happens when there is no intelligence. So strictly speaking, every time Naruto and his team win, part of the credit should be attributed to those mind detectors. As these words fell, the white-haired child transformed his image into a towering virtual projection and projected it into the sky. The size of his body was so huge that the 5 major ninja villages could actually see the same scene at the same time. Tsunade, who was originally reading information in the office, rushed out of the Hokage building in shock at Shizune's reminder, and then heard the white-haired child's projection introduce himself. "I am a ninja from Konoha village, Akunobu." What? Hearing this familiar name, Tsunade immediately showed a look of doubt, thinking to herself, it's too strange, Akunobu can't still be a child. After attracting the attention of almost everyone in the ninja world, Bilyuhu continued, "I use the technique of Ghost Bud Luotoi will take the bloodline limit ninjutsu of the great ninja village as my own. When I get the 5th bloodline limit, I will be invincible and become an immortal perfect ninja. With this power, I will launch the 4th ninja world war and dominate everything." Hiss. What the hell? Seizing bloodline limits, and 5 of them. What kind of Kidara jutsu is so powerful? Really? If I really have 5 bloodline limits, how powerful would I be? The current 5th Mizukage seems to have mastered 2 bloodline limits. 5, tisk, it's hard to imagine. In comparison, this Abiru's idea of starting a war to dominate everything seems ordinary. After all, I've seen too many of them. But this guy claims to be a Konoha ninja. Could it be that Konoha is secretly planning something? Come on, he just killed 3 Konoha's Anbu. Besides, claiming to be so, can anyone do such a thing well? Not only the outside world is very curious about the connection between Akunoha and Konoha, even Tsunade herself wants to figure out this question. When did she know this Konoha ninja called Akunoha, and why did she have no impression at all? No, I seem to really know him, let me think. Tsunade patted her forehead, followed her vague memory, and ordered Shizune to go to the archives to find the list of students in her class of ninja school, while she herself turned her attention back to the sky, with an inexplicable expression. Akunoha. By the way, this ability to project an image into the sky is a bit like the sky. It's very different, okay? The sky is full of content from the past and the future, and this Akunoha, obviously just enlarged his own image. Although it only conveyed some words, it was able to be seen by the 5 major countries at the same time, and this expressiveness is actually very remarkable. Chapter 494. After such a blatant declaration of war, the projection of Haruko disappeared into the sky, but Tsunade felt bad. Such a big black pot was put on Konoha out of thin air. So Tsunade summoned all the combat forces that could be mobilized in Konoha at the first time, and passed a martial law order through them after giving them many instructions. Tsunade herself also set off immediately, and rushed to the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Wind with Shizune. After sending the contact to the sand village, she waited for Gaara's arrival with a serious face. It's no wonder that Tsunade is so serious. In fact, before coming here, Tsunade had been interviewed and questioned by the high-level officials of the Land of Fire. She knew that if she didn't handle it well, Konoha might be attacked by other ninja villages at the same time, and the Land of Fire would not provide any help in the next battle. This incident is no longer something that Konoha can solve alone. We need your help. Tsunade frowned and looked in the direction of Sand Village. Gaara. Yes, we know this guy is not on the same group with Konoha, but the countries in the ninja world in the Sky Dome don't know. If we don't figure things out, Konoha will be hostile to all countries at the same time. Before, I was wondering why this Barrow was so arrogant. Can't he capture the fifth target first to gain immortality before declaring war? Now it seems that he deliberately made Konoha the target of public criticism. Although he himself has increased some risks, it can distract Konoha's attention and make it easier for him to capture the fifth target. The above assumptions are based on the premise that the fifth target is Kakashi. Otherwise, this guy is just simply getting carried away. Holding a celebration banquet before the battle even started. Tisk tisk, the whole world is the enemy for no reason, and even the Fire Country will not support Konoha this time. If it really comes to this, Konoha will definitely not be able to hold on. I wonder if Tsunagakure has ever thought about this day, when Konoha will actually pin its hopes on them. Konoha is strong, but all kinds of moths are too frequent. This day should have come a long time ago. What is the saying that fortune changes? Just as Tsunade was waiting, the team escorting Gaara to the meeting was passing through a narrow valley. Although sitting in the sedan, Gaara noticed something strange at this time. The flying ninja beast that had attacked Sai before flew over the valley and scattered large pieces of feathers. The sudden explosion collapsed the mountain wall above the team, and huge rocks rolled down and hit the unprepared Gaara team. Their life and death were unknown. Tsunade received the relevant information soon after. She took a broken feather from the Anbu. Tsunade's ominous premonition reached its peak. The analysis results showed that the next war might be unavoidable. This Akuro is a bit smart. He even has plans for other ninja villages. It seems that he is determined to make other countries hostile to Konoha. I originally wanted to unite with Tsunagakure, but now I have to fight them first. Although I know what Akuro is up to, it's a bit too much to think that he wants to hurt Gaara with such a small rock. I can't take away the blood limit by relying on my Kajira technique alone. I need to use special techniques. In a dark circular space, Akuro was bathed in the moonlight that penetrated the skylight. He looked at the four bloodline ninjas tied to the X-shaped cross around him and muttered to himself. The rituals for obtaining 4 bloodline limits are ready, but to obtain the 5th bloodline limit, the 3 elements of heaven, earth and man must be gathered. First, heaven refers to the golden ring solar eclipse. Second, Mount Sumeru represents the earth, and the last one is man. If I take away that person's bloodline limit, the 5 elements will form a relationship of mutual generation in my body, and the immortal perfect ninja will be born. Speaking of this, Biruhu looked at the last empty X-shaped cross, and a red curse seal in the shape of an eye appeared on his forehead, and he said softly, "The owner, the 5th ninja who is most suitable for bloodline limit, I specially left you to the end, because you are an old friend I miss." Although I don't know the specific principle, but listening to him, it seems like he can really become an immortal ninja. If he doesn't die, then he doesn't die. It's not like he can't fight. Aren't hidden and impure world reincarnation good examples? The key is that if he succeeds, he will have 5 bloodline limits, which is not easy to deal with. Can he be stronger than Nagato Samsara? Think about it, impossible. It all depends on how well they perform. For example, both the first Hokage and Yamato use wood release. Can you say they are equally powerful? I originally thought that Haruko might not have enough chakra to exert the power of the 5 bloodline limits, but since he can absorb chakra, this is not a problem. By the way, he described the process of obtaining the bloodline limits so clearly. If we have the Kido no Kisara technique, can we replicate his operation? Well, except for Haruko, didn't Tsunade mention it in the previous conversation with the high-level officials of the Land of Fire that Haruko was expelled from Konoha because of his research on the Kido no Kisara technique? There should be research materials left. Maybe they can really replicate it. In Konoha, Kakashi, who was originally lying on the bed and sleeping peacefully, suddenly frowned and fell into a dream. In the dream, the teenage Kakashi appeared in a bamboo forest with a panicked face. Hokuto flew in front of him and turned into an adult, greeting him familiarly. "Long time no see, Hatake Kakashi. You are Hokuto?" Ignoring Kakashi's doubtful eyes, Hokuto walked forward and raised his hand to press his forehead, and engraved the eyeball-shaped curse seal on Kakashi's forehead without any hindrance. In reality, Kakashi woke up from his deep sleep when the curse seal was activated. At this time, Hokuto's ghostly figure slowly dissipated beside him, but Kakashi turned a blind eye, and his lifeless right eye glowed with a strange red light. Well, Kakashi was Hokuto's target, which was expected, but the two of them were friends. No, are you sure they are friends? These two are obviously not of the same age. This adult is the real Biluhu. Chapter 495. Kakashi's attitude is weird. He looks like he's rejecting something, but he lets Akumo touch his forehead and plant the curse seal. What's he doing? Looking at this, Akumo has been planning to take over Kakashi for more than a decade, and Kakashi's memory has obviously been affected, so he only remembered this now. Tsunade took the list of students from Shizune's class and found a student named Akumo on the list after searching through it. The photo shows the same appearance as the one shown on the sky screen. After confirming that such a person exists, Tsunade flipped through the ninja list again, and then found relevant information about Akumo in the files that recorded the identities of the sacrificed ninjas. Sacrificed in the Second Ninja World War. If it weren't for these data, I wouldn't even know I knew such a person. Why do I look so familiar on the sky screen? And I'm an old friend of Kakashi. Tsunade murmured in confusion, then looked at Shizune and asked, "Where is Kakashi's convoy? When can it come back?" According to the information passed by Master Jiraiya, Kakashi and his team will arrive in Konoha tomorrow. Shizune reported after looking through the information on hand. "When Kakashi comes back tomorrow, ask him to wait for me in the hospital. I'll go check if his body has been tampered with." Little did Kakashi know that he was already full of questions at this time. When did he have a friend named Biluhu? This name was the first time he heard it today. Is my memory sealed? Touching his forehead, Kakashi's expression was a little gloomy. After all, his body was inexplicably planted with a curse seal, and no one would be in a good mood. After that, Kakashi came to the Hokage's office. Tsunade, who was worrying about how to resolve the conflict between countries, didn't care much about his late-night visit and asked casually, "What's wrong?" The curse seal appeared. Kakashi replied calmly. Tsunade then calmed down and listened to his explanation. "That guy, Abiru, seemed to have chosen my Sharingan as the 5th blood limit more than 10 years ago. I don't know when he planted the puppet technique in me." Hearing this, Tsunade stood up from the chair excitedly and punched the desk heavily. "Why? Is that guy's purpose to take revenge on Konoha? In this case, I am also responsible for this mistake. Why are you willing to confess now? What were you doing before?" Because his memory has been affected, he is not sure. Now that Akumo has taken action directly, it will be too late if we don't speak up now. This Akumo is very patient. He has been holding back for more than 10 years before he started to implement the plan. Isn't he afraid that something will happen to Kakashi during this period? Isn't he waiting for the Golden Ring solar eclipse? This amount of manpower cannot affect it. Besides, the Uchiha clan was not exterminated more than 10 years ago. Maybe Akumo has other tricks up his sleeve. Listen to what Tsunade said. Isn't Akumo obviously taking revenge on Konoha? Is there any need to doubt it? After saying that, Tsunade looked at Kakashi and firmly stated that she would protect him and would not let Akumo succeed. However, Kakashi unexpectedly said that he would take the initiative to find Akumo. At this time, Tsunade thought Kakashi wanted to deal with Haruko alone, so she rejected his proposal without thinking, and explained in detail for fear that he would not understand. According to the report from the Anbu, that guy can perform chakra-stealing techniques at a long distance, thereby absorbing the opponent's chakra. In other words, no matter how experienced the ninja is, he can't get close to him. He is the so-called invincible ninja. Knowing that Tsunade misunderstood his meaning, Kakashi did not point it out directly, but instead reminded him in a roundabout way that the enemy's technique should require certain conditions to be met before it can be realized. Tsunade, do you want to listen to what you said? What invincible ninja? Just because of the ninjutsu that absorbs chakra from a long distance, you think that Hiruzen is invincible? This is not a way to respect the enemy. Think about how Naruto dealt with similar ninjas before. He either used excessive chakra to kill the opponent, or used fairy chakra to turn the opponent into stone. As long as you think about it, there are many ways to deal with the enemy. Did Tsunade master some information that others don't know? This is to boost others' morale and destroy your own prestige. Even when pain invaded before, you didn't think the opponent was invincible. After he said this, Tsunade immediately remembered the record of the Kita no Kisara technique in the Konoha ninjutsu file just now. One of them mentioned the need to attract special light, so Tsunade walked to the calendar and looked through it. She learned that there was a golden ring solar eclipse in the sky, and she immediately understood that this should be the condition for performing the Kisara technique. I'm afraid this is it, there is no time. The previous foreshadowing was for this sentence. Kakashi was no longer vague, and said bluntly, Tsunade-sama, I would like to ask you to leave a spell on me. This is the only way to defeat Haruko. And hearing Kakashi's suggestion, Tsunade's face turned cold and said in a deep voice, Kakashi, do you want me to be a ruthless Hokage who sacrifices his subordinates to protect Konoha and is remembered by history? Kakashi's eyes did not dodge, and he answered very seriously, yes, I would like you to be such a Hokage, because that is Tsunade-sama's will of fire. Huh? What's going on? I thought Kakashi wanted to deal with Haruko himself just now. Why does it sound like he wants to die with his opponent through some means? No. That's it? You don't even put up a fight, you just want to die? That's right, let Tsunade check if the curse can be removed first. Let's not talk about whether Haruko is invincible, can't we think of other ways to solve it? I don't understand Kakashi's logic. It is known that Haruko wants to obtain Kakashi's Sharingan to obtain the so-called immortality. In this case, Kakashi not only didn't think about staying away, but took the initiative to approach. This is incomprehensible. Even if the curse can't be removed, it should be no problem to seal Kakashi. Although I don't know what means Kakashi is going to use to die with the enemy, it's best not to give the enemy any chance of success. Otherwise, if something goes wrong, what if he really creates an immortal ninja with 5 bloodline limits? Chapter 496. I always feel that Konoha is causing trouble. If you really don't have the confidence to deal with the enemy, Kakashi should just commit suicide, and let us, Kumagakure, deal with the enemy. I want to see how powerful the so-called invincible ninja is. I always feel that Kakashi's understanding of Tsunade is a little bit off. Is this how the will of fire is understood? Tsunade looked at Shianmu with a strange look on her face. What kind of image is she in Kakashi's eyes? Why do you think she can agree to that kind of proposal? More importantly, from the current development, it seems that the self on Shianmu will really agree to Kakashi's proposal. In order to deal with this so-called invincible ninja, she chooses to sacrifice Kakashi, the absolute mainstay of Konoha. What's going on? Since the appearance of this so-called Haruko, everything has become very strange. Naruto frowned deeply, really not understanding why Kakashi made that decision. Teacher Kakashi, you have always believed in me, why don't you ask me for help? After finishing the conversation with Tsunade, Kakashi left the Hokage building and came to the memorial alone. After saying goodbye to Obito and Rin, he met Shikamaru, who came out of another cemetery when he left. Are you here to visit Asuma's grave? Yes. Shikamaru took out Asuma's lighter, lit it, stared at the flame, and said seriously, in order to fulfill Asuma's request, I will protect Konoha village even if I risk my life. That's all. Shikamaru said no more and left directly. Looking at his back, Kakashi murmured softly, is this your will of fire? You are already an excellent ninja. Thinking that Kakashi was talking to him, Shikamaru stopped and looked at him with a question mark on his face. Kakashi did not answer this, but asked Shikamaru to help him pass a few words to Naruto. Although Shikamaru could tell from Kakashi's vague expression that he must have some unspeakable secrets, he finally agreed to this troublesome matter that was not easy for him to handle. Did Kakashi's brain get burned by the curse seal? Why did he keep talking about the will of fire? Are they talking about the same thing? Actually, he was talking about the same thing, that is, he had to protect Konoha at any cost, so he chose to sacrifice himself. Kakashi made this decision, and you don't need to think about how Naruto would react. He asked Shikamaru to stop Naruto. Kakashi's behavior is really strange. He believed in Naruto so much before, but now it seems that he has forgotten this matter. Like this, he was going to die with the enemy without caring about anything. Compared to Kakashi, who believed in Naruto and always believed that he would succeed, this Kakashi did not rely on others and completely relied on himself, but the decision he made was incomprehensible to everyone. At the same time, Naruto, who could not wait any longer, slipped out of the hospital again. He first enjoyed a bowl of Ichiriko ramen as usual, and then cheered up and prepared to spend all his energy on the commotion caused by Akiruko, although Naruto himself did not know what was going on. As a result, as soon as Naruto walked out of Ichiriko ramen, he saw Kakashi's eyes glowing red and he walked through the street with stiff steps. Teacher Kakashi. Out of curiosity, Naruto followed Kakashi to the gate of Konoha, and then saw him knock out the two guards, Izumo and Katetsu, without saying a word, and then walked out of the gate without looking back. Now, even if Naruto was slow, he realized something was wrong and rushed forward to stop Kakashi's actions, shouting, "Kakashi-sensei! Kakashi-sensei! What's wrong with you? Can't you hear me? Is the effect of this curse seal so simple? It's as if they are afraid that others don't know that Kakashi is cursed. It's too obvious. I'm curious, if Tsunade doesn't agree with Kakashi's proposal, or Kakashi wants to resist, will Ibiru's curse seal still work? Direct after the sealing technique is done, Kakashi will have to stay in Konoha obediently, and then Ibiru will just have to wait and not be able to carry out the next plan. Ibiru's brain circuit is as weird as those people in Kusagakure village before. If Konoha hadn't actively cooperated, the plan they made with so many mistakes wouldn't even have the possibility of being realized. In fact, if Naruto hadn't met Kakashi on the street, it might have taken him a long time to notice that Kakashi was missing. Without Naruto, there will be other variables. After all, Hiruko's control over Kakashi is not even concealed at all, and the only thing missing is to put a flag on his head. Before Naruto could stop Kakashi, Shikamaru suddenly appeared in front of him. However, at this time, Naruto didn't think about what Shikamaru meant by stopping him. He just wanted to drag Kakashi back. Seeing that Naruto wanted to rush out without listening, Shikamaru had no choice but to use the shadow imitation technique to restrain him. Naruto realized that something was wrong and asked, "What are you doing?" "Teacher Kakashi told me to tell you, even if I disappear from this village, don't follow me out," Shikamaru explained while maintaining the restraint. Unexpectedly, a dark cloud passed by and covered the moonlight. Shikamaru's ninjutsu was passively released. Naruto saw this and took the opportunity to rush over, grabbing his collar and loudly asking, "What do you know? What time is this?" I always feel like Kakashi doesn't seem to understand Naruto very well. Why do you think that after asking Shikamaru to tell Naruto those words, Naruto will stop and let him go to die alone? Except for Naruto, the behavior of other people in Konoha is very strange. Although Shikamaru is not as extreme as Naruto, is he the kind of person who will watch his companions go to die? Obviously, he was more emotional than anyone else before, so why are these Konoha ninjas now aligned with the standards of traditional ninjas? In order to protect the village, they are willing to sacrifice their companions. Not only Kakashi, but others have also been brainwashed by Ibiru. I can't say, but... Shikamaru stared at Naruto seriously and said firmly, "Konoha's ninjas must obey the orders of the village. This is the rule." Chapter 497. As you can imagine, Naruto obviously would not accept this explanation, and wanted to continue chasing after him after letting go of his hand. However, Shikamaru did not intend to give in this time, and hugged Naruto from behind, and bound him with his shadow again at the moment when the dark clouds dispersed. Shikamaru even took out Asuma's chakra knife and put it on Naruto's neck, and then said with a look of reluctance, "For the sake of the village, you can even sacrifice your life. This is the will of fire of Kakashi, teacher." Naruto, who was helpless, could only watch Kakashi's back as he left, screaming his name in pain. The rules must be followed. I always feel that the standards of Konoha ninjas in this regard are very flexible. When Shikamaru went to help Asuma with revenge, he had no intention of following Tsunade's orders. I understand why the keyword is the will of fire. It appears quite frequently. Kakashi's behavior can be explained by the will of fire, but it seems wrong to others. Although Kakashi took the initiative to bring it up, did Tsunade and Shikamaru really watch him die? What's going on? Is this the will of fire that I understand? Shikamaru, who was practicing ninjutsu at home, frowned and muttered after seeing what he did on the sky screen. Shikamaru also understood that because of the war, Konoha was in a state of being overturned at any time, but no matter what, it was impossible to let Kakashi die with the enemy to save the village without any preparation, especially the time point on the sky screen was after Asuma's sacrifice. After Asuma's sacrifice, no one should understand the pain of the master's departure better than Shikamaru, so how could he use the rules to stop Naruto? Later, In the Hokage's office, Tsunade informed Sakura and others about Kakashi's departure from the village, and also issued strange orders such as Kakashi has nothing to do with Konoha from now on, and no one is allowed to pursue him. Although Sakura wanted to express her opposition immediately, she saw Tsunade's extremely firm attitude and forced the order to be implemented. Then she directly let everyone disperse, leaving Shikamaru alone, preparing to tell him the details. Although I don't know what Tsunade thinks, Shikamaru still reported Naruto's situation according to the procedure, and said that he had put Naruto in the cell and detained him according to Kakashi's prior instructions. Little did she know that this sentence was heard by Sakura outside the door. Out of rejection of unreasonable orders, Sakura immediately ran to the cell to discuss the situation with Naruto. In the end, only a few of Kakashi's students cared about him. Did everyone else accept his sacrifice to save Konoha with peace of mind? Except for Shikamaru, who knows a little bit about the inside story, the others don't know the details. Maybe they just think Kakashi is on a special mission. So Kakashi is not very clear about Naruto's reaction, and he even told him to throw him into the cell in advance. Then why didn't he believe that Naruto had the power to defeat the enemy like he did when he fought Kakuzu before? The time point here is after that, right? Needless to say, it shows that in Kakashi's eyes, Haruko is much stronger than Kakuzu. Yes, one has 5 hearts, and the other has 4 kinds of bloodline limits. If we only look at the strength on paper, Haruko is indeed stronger. A little stronger, but the problem is that strength is not calculated in this way. Kakashi has been a Jonin for so many years and still doesn't know this. Keep watching and see how strong this Haruko is. He actually made Kakashi completely lose confidence and had to use a tactic of mutual destruction. In the office, Shikamaru hesitated after reporting the situation, but he couldn't help but finally said his analysis. Kakashi teacher, he, is related to the huge phantom before. When Kakashi teacher left the village, it was obvious that someone was controlling him, but the teacher chose to accept it after realizing it. The specific reason is that this is the only way to defeat the enemy, right? Still so smart. Tsunade did not hide it and directly admitted Shikamaru's guess. Even though Shikamaru himself had to let Kakashi go due to the rules, he still didn't understand why Tsunade agreed to implement this plan, and couldn't help but angrily said, Tsunade-sama actually allowed him to do that. Yes. Tsunade's face sank, and she answered coldly, I ordered him to die for the village. Looking at Shikamaru's attitude, he actually didn't want to do this. You think Tsunade is not like that? They were forced to do it because of the situation they made this choice, although I still don't understand the situation they are facing. Is it because of the war? From the previous development, Konoha has almost become the public enemy of the ninja world because of Obito. If this is the case, because they can't spare any manpower to deal with Obito, they can only sacrifice Kakashi to make up for the disadvantage. This explanation makes sense, right? Originally, there is no problem, but I don't see the urgency of the war at all. What's more, Tsunade used the word invincible to describe Obito when she mentioned him before, which makes people feel that Konoha can't do anything to Obito and is afraid of him, so now they can only rely on Kakashi's sacrifice to deal with him. What a joke. Don't say that the war hasn't started yet. Even if the war really broke out, Konoha has never been afraid. When do we need to sacrifice our companions to protect the village? Tsunade raised her hand and slammed it heavily on the table, angry at herself for saying that on the sky screen. Besides, even if I really have to sacrifice, I, the Hokage, am more qualified than Kakashi. When will it be his turn to show off? But Tsunade-sama, what Akira wants is the Sharingan, and you really don't meet the requirements. Shizune responded with an awkward expression. HMPH. I think that guy's probably afraid of me. Since he is a student in the same class as me, it means that Akira should have known how powerful I am since he was a child, and naturally he doesn't have the courage to target me. Tsunade responded angrily, not knowing whether she was angry with herself on the sky screen or with Akira. On the other side, Sakura dodged the guards and sneaked into the prison. As soon as she approached the cell where Naruto was imprisoned, she saw that he was bound by a straitjacket all over his body, lying on the ground struggling desperately, and shouting loudly at the same time. Chapter 498. At this time, Naruto noticed Sakura's appearance, so he couldn't wait to ask about the situation outside. After the two sides exchanged their information, Sakura came to the same conclusion as Shikamaru, and realized that Kakashi wanted to sacrifice himself to solve the enemy alone. Hearing this, Naruto couldn't wait any longer, and quickly stood up to express his intention to rescue Kakashi, but Sakura was a little hesitant, not knowing whether to disobey Tsunade's order. Is the prison guard level serious? Are they really trying to stop Naruto from rescuing Kakashi? Are they doing this on purpose? In fact, Tsunade has other plans behind the scenes. Why do I feel that everything is planned by Kakashi, whether it is being controlled to leave the village in front of Naruto, or asking Shikamaru to pass on the words to Naruto? It seems to make him firm up his determination. Other people's confusing behavior is too much, but it highlights that Naruto's previous annoying personality is much more normal. Seeing this, Naruto looked down at the two bells that fell to the ground when he struggled just now, and said, "Sakura, look at these two bells, they were given to me by Kakashi teacher. Do you remember, the teacher taught us at that time that those who don't follow the rules are trash, but those who don't cherish their friends are even worse trash. I just want to protect my friends. It's always the same. Sasuke did it back then. This time too, I want to bring Kakashi back with my own hands, that's all I want." Naruto's words brought back memories for Sakura, reminding her of the promise she made with Sasuke when he defected, and Naruto's smiling face when he firmly said he would fulfill the promise. She asked hesitantly, "Naruto, can you protect Kakashi? Can your hands touch Kakashi?" "Ah, definitely. I'll protect you," Naruto answered firmly as always, so Sakura made up her mind, and with the anger caused by her temper, she punched the prison door and rescued Naruto. If the characters and plots were not different, I would have thought I had reread the previous story. In the final analysis, it just wants to express which is more important, the rules or companions. The question is, does Naruto need to think about it when this happens to him? Well, it's obviously normal. Why does it feel so awkward when it comes from Sakura's mouth? Although I know what Sakura wants to express, but I mean, can you change the way of asking questions? Kakashi is not a child who can't do anything. What protection? What can be touched with both hands? It sounds disgusting. Kakashi wiped the sweat from his forehead. Although Kakashi has not understood his own thoughts and the situation of Haruko on the sky curtain so far, it does not prevent him from being comforted by Naruto's concern. But he is obviously the teacher and the elder. Why do the two subordinates describe him in a tone that is like caring for a baby? Therefore, in order to avoid similar situations, Kakashi swore that he would never take everything on his own initiative in the future, and would definitely discuss with everyone before doing anything. In the Hokage's office, Tsunade had just told Shikamaru the whole story, when Shizune suddenly pushed the door and rushed in, reporting that Naruto was rescued by Sakura. Tsunade knew what they were going to do without thinking, and was immediately furious. Just as she was about to arrange for someone to bring the two back, Shikamaru volunteered to stop them. Tsunade agreed to Shikamaru's proposal, so under his call, the companions of Team 3, Team 8, and Team 10 gathered at the gate of Konoha and listened to his explanation of the next mission. Everyone is here. Now, according to Tsunade-sama's order, bring back Naruto and Sakura. As a result, Konoha's prison is simply poorly guarded. Tsunade really doesn't have any follow-up plans. No. I really don't understand. In order to capture Naruto and Sakura, 3 teams were gathered here. Even if there is no Jonin leading the team, it feels that with a little more effort, it is not impossible to fight with Hiruzen. As for Kakashi, must he die with the enemy? Shikamaru, I don't care. Anyway, no one can stop Kakashi from going to die. When the friends heard this, they looked at each other. The impatiently immediately asked, "Please wait a minute. What's going on? Shikamaru, didn't you hear Tsunade-sama's order? Naruto and Sakura are chasing Kakashi in disobedience to the order." Although Shikamaru answered, Lee's doubts did not diminish at all, and he asked another question, "Why didn't Tsunade-sama allow us to chase Kakashi-sensei? I think it's natural for the 2 people in Kakashi's class to chase him." Shikamaru, who decided to stand on the side of the village and the rules, didn't want to answer this question, because he knew that this kind of thing was hard to explain, so he just said it casually. Lee was not stupid, and he directly expressed his opposition after noticing Shikamaru's attitude, but he stopped temporarily under the persuasion of others. Shikamaru didn't waste any more time and called everyone to start the mission. After everyone left, Sai walked out from the side of the gate, staring at their backs as they left, without saying a word. I don't know how many of them will turn against Naruto in the future. After all, in my impression, There are not many honest people among these Konoha ninjas, and each of them has a lot of ideas. Don't think that Shikamaru seems very determined now, but don't forget that he wants to convince Naruto, the one who can convince Nagato and the tailed beasts. Who do you think will convince whom at that time? So, the team that is said to capture Naruto and Sakura will most likely become a combat team to defeat Obito. Due to Gaara's disappearance, the Sand Village directly entered a state of preparation for war. A large number of war equipment were pulled to the front line, and the war was about to break out. At the same time, the controlled Kakashi passed through a huge gate built in the forest and officially entered the Golden Ring Mountains. Behind Kakashi, Naruto and Sakura, who had been running all night without stopping, had already seen his back. As a result, they were about to step forward to intercept him, but they didn't expect that Shikamaru and his group who were chasing them also caught up at this time. Chapter 499. Naruto, Sakura, according to the rules, I must take you back to the village. Shikamaru didn't want to waste any more words, and explained the result straight to the point. Even though Naruto repeatedly emphasized that Kakashi was controlled by the enemy, and Sakura also pleaded for mercy, Shikamaru still had no intention of changing his attitude, and refused firmly. No. You can't get involved with Hatake Kakashi anymore. This is Tsunade-sama's Hokage's order. Wow. Tsunagakure reacted so strongly. Gaara just got into trouble, and here. Prepare to start the war. Although I don't know the specific situation, it's no wonder that Sand Village reacted so violently. After all, this is the fourth time that their Kazekage has been in trouble. Which 4 times? The third Kazekage disappeared during the Third World War, the fourth Kazekage was suspected to have died at the hands of Orochimaru, and the fifth Kazekage was kidnapped once. This time, it's the 4th time. It seems that the situation is quite tense. I wonder how other countries will react. Sand Village Lemur recently, and with Gaara in trouble, Konoha was the first to take action. It depends on when Konoha will clarify the rumors spread by Obito. After saying that, Shikamaru controlled the shadow to extend and prepared to take action directly. Noticing his action, Naruto suddenly relaxed his body and said, indeed, people who don't follow the rules of the village are trash. Hearing this, Shikamaru thought he had changed his mind, but saw Naruto took out 2 bells from his backpack and said firmly, but. During the initial exercise, Kakashi teacher told us that guys who don't cherish their partners are worse trash. And I don't want to be the worst trash. At this time, Xiaoli seized the opportunity and interrupted and asked, that? Is it true that Kakashi teacher is being controlled by someone? Knowing that he couldn't hide it anymore, Shikamaru told everyone the truth that Kakashi was holding the idea of dying with the enemy, so he deliberately let the other party control him, and bluntly said that if he could, he didn't want to do this, but this was the only way to save the village. Tisk, is it because I have a bad brain that I can't figure it out? I really don't understand the logic of Tsunade and Shikamaru. The crisis of Konoha now is that war may break out at any time, and the solution is undoubtedly to capture the culprit, Haruko, because they think Haruko is very strong, and because of the war, Konoha can't spare any manpower, so they can only choose to sacrifice Kakashi to achieve their goal. This is the logic. Is it difficult to understand? In fact, the logic can barely make sense. The most important thing is that Tsunade attaches inexplicable importance to Haruko. Just based on the ability to absorb chakra, she thinks that the other party is invincible, and she just lies down without even trying to fight. Again, the people present here, as long as they work together, they may be able to fight against Haruko. If you are afraid of having your chakra sucked away, let Naruto take the lead. I don't believe Haruko can withstand the huge chakra of the Nine Tails. Naruto really regards the words taught by Kakashi as the truth. No matter what reason Shikamaru and the others give, he can use these words to answer. What's more interesting is that even Kakashi, who is willing to sacrifice himself, can't refute it. After all, these words were said by Obito and passed on to Naruto by him. Kakashi unconsciously put himself in the situation on the Sky Dome. Thinking that he really couldn't refute these words, he immediately disagreed with the decision he made on the Sky Dome. As the person who first said these words, Afei was very upset at this time. Naruto and Obito are too similar. Seeing him take those words as the golden rule, Afei, who thought he had given up the past, felt extremely annoying, but couldn't help but feel sorry for the despair that Naruto would eventually face. Those words are indeed beautiful and inspiring, but they are not suitable for this world full of despair. Even if you can forgive Nagato, even if you can forgive the tailed beasts, the despair of the ninja world will continue to fall on you. This is not something that can be supported by the ninja way or the dream of peace. One day, you will be crushed by despair, Naruto. Thinking of this, Afei's heart gradually calmed down, and he no longer had emotional ups and downs for those words that Naruto kept saying. I thought that this could make Naruto and Sakura waver, so that Shikamaru could find a way to bring them back to the village, but unexpectedly, at this time, a huge snake-like monster with a long-faced man broke out of the ground and attacked everyone. Naruto and Sakura seized the opportunity to move forward. Shikamaru saw this and didn't care about anything else. He arranged for Team 3 to stay and deal with the enemy, while he and the others continued to chase Naruto and the others. Naruto and Sakura quickly climbed up the mountain and soon landed on a platform. In front of them was another huge door blocking their way. Not only that, the two strange dogs encountered during the previous exploration mission and the curly-haired woman following below also appeared on the door. It goes without saying that this is one of the obstacles for the two, just like the man who attacked them just now. Abiru probably didn't expect that Konoha's people were divided into two groups. Shikamaru, why don't you just admit it? Even the opponent is helping Naruto, you can't stop him from moving forward. With so many people, the role will be reflected now. Although it was not Shikamaru's original intention, it is indeed undeniable that it has directly become a combat team assisting Naruto and his team. Finally here, my little cuties have been waiting impatiently since a while ago, and they are eager to get back at their previous accounts. The curly-haired woman said confidently. Naruto and his companions were naturally not afraid, and they were ready to deal with it. At this time, Team 8, which was one step behind the two, also arrived on the platform. Hinata found out the details of the two strange dogs at a glance, and then Tengaya said to Naruto and the others, Naruto, Sakura. I can't tell whether what you are going to do is right, but I can understand your feelings. Hinata also expressed her approval of the two's actions, and Shino, who had clearly stated that he would obey the orders of the Hokage before departure, also changed his mind and said bluntly that the enemies on the opposite side would be left to them, the beast response experts. Chapter 500. They don't even pretend anymore. They directly expressed their support for Naruto and his team's actions. Of the three teams, except for Shikamaru, no one else has thought about doing the mission seriously. The Abirim family is very flexible. They said they would obey the Hokage's orders before the mission started, but when they saw that their two teammates supported Naruto, they just went along with it. It's obvious that this kind of person is suitable for mixing in the system. After the simple exchange, looking at the two strange dogs that fell from the door and stared at everyone, Kiba called Ikamaru, took the lead and rushed out with Kiba Togaya. After the attack was easily avoided by the two strange dogs, he pierced through the door blocking the way without slowing down. Now, let's go. Yasuko brought Naruto and Sakura back to their senses, and they walked through the hole without hesitation and continued to move forward. At this time, the late Team 10 was too lazy to blame Team 8 for not following the rules, and they also walked through the door and followed closely behind Naruto and the others. At the same time, Shino, who had been prepared for a long time, controlled a large number of insects to devour the two strange dogs that were about to chase. The curly-haired woman was immediately broken by the defense, and with a ferocious expression, she summoned a wild boar wearing spiked armor, and performed the Ghost Bud Ra technique to merge her lower body with the summoned beast. Although they didn't know what tricks she was playing, the three members of Team 8 were still very alert and focused on dealing with the curly-haired woman's attack. Oh, this woman also knows the Kitogara technique. Isn't Haruko quite generous? She has merged with a summoned beast. Is this the effect of the Kitogara technique? Then the so-called devouring bloodline limit is to merge the body of the bloodline ninja into her own body. Well, let's not talk about devouring bloodline limit for now, but this tactic of merging with a summoned beast always feels a bit impractical. Isn't this turning into a glaring target? It depends on the type of summoned beast. Besides, maybe some special abilities will appear after the fusion, such as strengthening the control over the summoned beast or giving it chakra attributes. What kind of strength can be exerted depends on their tactical arrangements. On the other side, I know, Shika and Joe caught up with Naruto, and Shikamaru was in pain. He advised earnestly, Naruto, listen to me. The enemy has come out to fight again and again, which is evidence that Kakashi is extremely important to them. In other words, Kakashi's inference is correct, so he should be allowed to do what he wants. This kind of thing has nothing to do with me. Naruto refused without thinking. Shikamaru was furious when he saw this, but he had to restrain his emotions and continue to persuade, I also want to save Kakashi, but we can't let everyone in the village die for this. After hearing this, Naruto simply didn't even reply. It happened that at this time, the third subordinate of Abiruko attacked everyone on a flying ninja beast. Sai, who was following behind, took the opportunity to throw a flash bomb, flew towards Naruto and Sakura, and took them out of the air and continued to move forward. The enemy who regained his sight cast his eyes on the Ino Shikacho below. Noticing this, Ino asked Shikamaru about the next arrangement. Even if we tell that guy that we are not enemies, he won't believe it. Shikamaru sighed helplessly, then cheered up and looked at the enemy flying in the air. In this case, we have to kill that guy. But we can't spend too much time. Naruto is a one-sided person. No matter how good the reasons are, I just won't listen. This guy is quite arbitrary in this regard. He always follows his own ideas and basically doesn't listen to other people's reasons. He likes to preach to others the most. He is so arrogant. I can see that Kakashi is very important to Haruko, but I don't see how correct Kakashi's inference is. Instead, I feel I don't understand why. There are all kinds of birds in the forest. Konoha White Fang would commit suicide because of slander, and his son would volunteer to die for a strange reason. I don't understand. How pessimistic is Shikamaru? Even if the war really breaks out, why do you think that everyone in the village will die? Konoha has fought against 4 ninja villages at the same time in the past. There was a sequence of actions at that time. If other ninja villages attacked Konoha at the same time, Konoha might not be able to survive. Shikamaru expected to fight the enemy early on, so he brought so many people on the mission. In the forest where the battle started first, the third team and the snake-controlling team, the strange man launched a fierce offensive and defensive battle. Neji and the other 2 attacked, defended, and held back. Although the division of labor was clear, they were unable to gain an advantage and end the battle because of the agility of the opponent's attack. After several rounds of fighting, Xiaoli and Neji sorted out the situation and realized that they had to use offensive and defensive moves at the same time to open up the current situation. In view of this, Neji had a flash of inspiration in his mind and jumped directly to the sky to let Xiaoli use the lotus flower on him. Xiaoli, who cooperated tacitly, understood Neji's plan in an instant. Without saying a word, he used the lotus flower to hug Neji from behind. Then he saw the 2 of them falling rapidly from the air, and the landing point was exactly where the man who controlled the snake monster was. The man naturally had no intention of sitting and waiting to die. After repelling the restraining tenton, he shot dense strange snakes into the sky. Unexpectedly, Neji used the sky return by rotating his body. While deflecting the enemy's attack, he hit the opponent like a cannonball. Hey, this guy has also merged with his own summoning beast. Obito actually taught his special skills to his subordinates. After merging with a summoning beast, can you master the summoning beast's ability? Even if he is not a bloodline ninja, the application range of this Kajura technique is quite large. Konoha actually stopped Obito's research. This guy. I was just about to praise him for his ability, but he was easily dealt with by Neji and the others. This is what happens when the opponent seizes the opportunity. Besides, Neji and Rock Lee's tactics are not simple. Attack and defense are not as easy as they say. At the same time, the 8th team also started fighting. Kiba and Hinata used their speed advantage to play around with the curly-haired woman riding on the summoning beast. Then they used a simple bait tactic to lead the opponent into the trap dug by Shino. Finally, Shino finished it off. A large number of insects wrapped the woman and her summoning beast tightly. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.